How's it going, RPG Limit Break? This is our first ever kickoff stream. So for anybody that's been kind of under a rock or hasn't been checking our Discord or our other social medias, we have officially announced RPG Limit Break 2023. The event will be July 16th through the 22nd, but of course, no marathon is complete without games, and we have our game submissions are currently live. They will be closing on April 23rd. We'll have a Q&A session. You guys can talk with puwexil, get some insight on game selection in between runs. But in the meantime, we thought it'd be really fun to have this just, kind of casual, open stream to just, have a couple RPG speedruns on the channel, chat with some staff members, and just have a grand old time. Registration for the event is May 14th through June 18th. We have two fantastic runs today. We have Steamed Ham with Cheese and the Sid running the one, the only Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. It's the 7th RPG Limit Break. We decided, let's go ahead and run some Final Fantasy VII on our kickoff stream. And then, of course, as we all know, no good RPG Limit Break stream is complete without some Kingdom Hearts. So we have Atzero with some Birth by Sleep. And that's going to be awesome because you guys get to pick which of the characters we're actually going to be running on that. Gamer and Bob.
Sup?
How's it going? You guys are excited for this as I am, I assume?
Yeah, I'm regretting my decisions of last night, but yeah, I'm here.
I am not regretting my decisions for last night, and yes, I'm excited to be here. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. So, for those of you and we said hello to everyone on Twitch, we should also say hello to those of you who will be watching in the YouTube land later on, because this will get exported to our YouTube channel. Yeah, we're here. We're going to kind of hang out for a little while, answer some questions, interact with you there in the chat. If you do have a question for us that we aren't picking up, put like question in capital marks, capital letters before your question, and we'll try and pick those up as and where we can. But yeah, we're here to sort of answer questions and chill out and just enjoy the fact that we've announced Limit Break 2023 and celebrate all things Limit Break, really. And now there's silence on the stream. That's always good luck.
Wouldn't be the start of a stream without a little bit of tech issues. So apparently I'm echoing a little bit, so I'm trying to avoid talking too much.
Fair enough. All right.
Because I'm the only other one in the stream, right?
I was just going to chime in and say that I'm also monitoring our YouTube and our Twitch if any chatters or comments are there. So you feel free to ask us questions wherever. That's also why I'm looking around everywhere.
Let's see here. EX Micaiah, what are some of your favorite moments from Limit Break? Wow. That's a loaded question.
Yeah, it is. I have several.
Yeah. Breaking down in tears in the first finale I was at was a personal highlight.
I mean, I think all of our finales can be counted as some of my favorite moments. But if we're gonna go not that route, some favorite moments for me are our FF10 relay race, or not relay race, just relay, where we procedurally interviewed all 10 racers throughout the game being ran itself. That was fun and also chaos. I really enjoyed the time that I forget who it was offhand anymore. Someone was on Stream Tech and accidentally their knee bumped the power button, and so I had to sit there at 4 a.m. and scramble to get the stream re-going because the computer managed to shut off everything but OBS. So the stream had no idea that this even happened, as I'm trying to reboot everything from our layouts to our prize to everything. Oh my lord!
Does anyone remember that moment that Vulcan kicked the PS2?
Yes, because I watched him do it.
I have a question for y'all. What is your favorite Final Fantasy? That's the other really great on stream moment.
Okay,
whichever one I'm playing at the time.
No, I'm referring to the Alta donation with puwexil.
Yeah. Which was,
So I have to head this question off at the pass, gamer. I noticed that over your left shoulder, J Hobbs has come to visit.
This one's not J Hobbs.
No, it is, and you will never tell me otherwise. Does that mean that your Gengar is named Spike?
Yeah, sure. But if we're going to go that route, then I have no idea what this one's going to be named. Because I have this one hanging out over here, too.
I mean,
no.
Other favorite moments are, I mean, it's really hard not to say balloons.
Oh, that was funny. Yeah, that was a good run.
That was a good meme.
Yeah. I really, I think this was 2018. It was one of the times I laughed the hardest for sure, which was the very impromptu. I don't think it was impromptu. I think it was actually an incentive offhand, but it was the reenactment of the FF6 play theater scene with Bowie. Oh my lord!
The Final Fantasy IX ending, was it?
Was that also?
Yeah.
Maybe that was it.
Because he said something about Baby Grill. Yeah.
Yep, that was FF9.
Yeah.
Where they just decided to totally act out the ending.
We definitely did it for FF6 at 1.2, though. But maybe I'm thinking, but yeah, maybe that's what it.
Margaret Ann, you do not want to get me started on Final Fantasy 14. I want to make it out of this stream alive. And my views on that game may have this stream taken off the air.
Oh, Spike being left alone during Chrono Cross. That's a personal favorite memory of mine too.
Yes.
Because I was the one running the camera for that one. I had the pleasure of doing that. That was great. That was my first limit break. That was my very first one too.
Yeah. I really enjoyed now this is a personal favorite, and I know it's not one, but I will never forget when I first hosted an East run for Ghost Kumo. I had no idea what the game was going to be, and it probably became my favorite run of the marathon that year. That was a really fun one. Or the time that PJ was running and everyone was bracing themselves for the stream to implode, and it never did. But somehow he, Meta Sigma, and I can't remember who else was on this couch. I think it was Omni Gamer. All managed to coordinate themselves to the couch perfectly, like with what they were wearing. I don't know.
I've got another one actually.
Yeah,
the Where's Waldo race.
Yes.
Where we got 2 literal books of Where's Waldo, and we handed them to some runners and had them race to find Waldo on the pages, which was absolutely glorious.
Oh.
We got to make big stream of running Where's Waldo in a marathon come true, just not in the way he thought it would come true.
So yeah, if you guys have any questions about this year's marathon, about what we're going to be doing, that sort of thing, we obviously can't talk to game selection and stuff like that yet, but
that is coming. We will have puwexil on to help with any questions you might have about game selection, games offers, anything related to that, of course.
But Gamer, myself, and Ghoul are just here to sort of interact with you and have some fun. Bob doing wrestling announcing during the Shadows Battle. By God! Yeah, that was a lot of fun. That slime had a family. And me telling you that you should believe in that one character, and you're saying he was bad, and yet he kept pulling you out of scrapes. I remember that, though. Mason Toaster says, one of my stream tech moments is when I changed the estimate of Final Fantasy II to Lamia Queen.
Sounds like run through the entirety of Hoshi, which is just whatever that became.
He's not bad. He's a very good boy, Direwolf. Anyway, that's not going to go over well on YouTube, so I'm going to leave that bit alone. Other favorite moments. There was, again, to go back to PJ's run, where he absolutely refused to PB in the marathon because he got perfect luck grinding. So he went out of his way to make like 4 extra robots just to inflate his time. Always amused me.
That sounds like PJ.
And I can't not mention this. This is a moment that never appeared on camera. And I think Ghoul knows where I'm going with this. That was right after PJ's run. Myself, PJ, and a bunch of the others went to the lunchroom to eat. And Yokai Watch started playing. They started the run for Yokai Watch. And we were all exhausted after that run. And we were sitting there eating our lunch, and there was just this thing that we had no idea about what was going on, because none of us had played Yokai Watch at this point. And we started really falling in love with this one cat that punched things. And then about halfway through, they switched that cat out of the party, and we nearly rioted in the lunchroom. I had to hold Rizakun back from running into the street room and demanding that you bring back Punch Cat. We were just sitting there like, what is this? It was so good.
Yokai Watch is a very silly video game.
Yes.
Also, all the people putting Punch Cat in chat. Yeah.
Like, I wasn't there because I was obviously doing that run.
Yeah.
I just remember Bersentia in the background yelling "dancing grandpas" during one of the boss fights.
It was you and Osi, I think, that were doing the run.
Yeah.
The Powerball donations, yeah.
Powerball.
Oh, Lord.
And I know I might be in the minority here, but the pun donations that Gunarm Dine puts in, I always enjoy reading those out. I know that other people don't so much.
They are long. I don't even want to know how much time he puts into those things.
As an aside, also special shout outs to the Demon Rush. If you have not watched that run from the very first Limit Break, it's a deep cut, but oh my goodness, you want to see one of the worst video games of all time in the best way possible.
I mean, that kind of sums up a lot of video games, doesn't it? Speedrunning.
One of the best speedruns, yes.
Yeah, that's fair.
The Demon Chocobo stuff during Final Fantasy VI was good. Yeah. Oh, man.
I will say, by the way, one thing about Demon Chocobo, it looks better on stream than it does off of a CRT.
Yeah.
The only other thing that I know that I've ever seen like that was when Geyer was doing Virtual Highlight. That is the only game I have ever seen that is worse on a CRT than it is through a capture feed. It is genuinely nauseating on a CRT. I have usually a CRT kind of smooths over details and makes the game work better. No, it looks worse. I don't know how that happened. It's borderline impressive.
Just trying to think back to some of the previous Limit Breaks. So many different options.
Even stuff that happens off stream too. Doing karaoke is always a highlight because you see karaoke and bowling off-site is. If you haven't been to Limit Break, there are some really special things that happen on site. It's not all what happens on stream, but what happens on stream is very important as well.
Yeah, that's actually true. I was trying to think through like all of the things that have happened on stream, but you're right, off stream as well.
It's really hard for me to not say the ongoing D&D campaign, but I might be a little bit biased there.
A little bit.
I don't know. I just remember when Ozzy and oh my god, who was it? Was Ozzy and someone else, and they were competing for the lowest score at bowling. Like we're talking like a 30. And Ozzy was down 9 points and got a strike on his last throw to win by a single pin.
I was there. Yeah, I was there for that one. I forgot about that. That was a good time.
I will never ever forget being introduced to the RPG that inspired all other video games called Newtopia. By Valley. that was the thing.
One of my more recent favorite memories is sitting behind me. We had a lot of fun figuring what to do with this, the version of this that was a prize on site.
You mean J-Hobbs?
Sure, yeah. And then I think my favorite thing we did with that, Ghoul will know very vividly, because we turned it into a blindfold, and that was hilarious.
Yeah.
Shockingly effective, by the way. I could not see anything.
It did have, I'm not going to say the side effect, but it did have the effect of making it look like you were making out with Piplup.
I mean,
we're not going to go there. We'll just leave that one and let it breathe.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's Limit Break is just truly something special. Like there's just not another word for it.
Yeah, there's just so much that if you don't attend in person, there's so much like there was I think it was in 2018 there was like a 40-person Zelda rando race at some point in the practice room, which was a thing to behold.
Didn't that also happen with A Link to the Past at one point? I feel like
A Link to the Past took over at one point, but I think Free Enterprise had the much larger race. The other funny thing,
Free Enterprise was 2019.
I forget which year it was. I think we had probably $100,000 worth of Earthbound carts at the event one year too. Like I swear every single attendee had an actual Earthbound cartridge, which was hilarious.
2017 was the year of A Link to the Past rando. Okay,
that would make sense. We were still in the university guest house, so that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then 2019 was Free Enterprise. I'm pretty sure of that.
Well, Free Enterprise was in 2019, wasn't it?
Yes, which is why we also had a large representation of attendees that knew about it there, yeah. I was also reminded of one of my other favorite off-stream moments of random practice room shenanigans, which was the year that a bunch of Kingdom Hearts runners all sat down in a row. This was I think this was right after the collections were reproduced onto PS4 instead of PS3, their initial releases. And so we all sat down and each of us played one of the games in a row. So you had like I forget who did. I think Spike was doing KH2. Hobbs might have been doing KH1. I had the honor because I was busy in the middle of doing a shift for the marathon. We just had the 358 over 2 days movie playing on mine. So they were competing against the movie playing. Oh, that was fun.
Oh my goodness.
People getting to sign your hoodie from Margaret Ann. What are some of you guys in chat's favorite memories? I mean, we're coming into our 7th limit break at this point. We can't forget to say a big shout out to High Spirits and Question for Glory, Hope for Healing, which carried the banner during the pandemic.
Most
I will say in 2018, I got to host for Diablo 2, The Lord of Destruction by Ryu. And there's a meme that in Ryu that everyone says happy birthday to him. But I was actually hosting that run on my actual birthday. So everyone sort of transferred the meme to me, which was a lot of fun. Oh.
Going back another one way back to the first Limit Break, doing Tales of Xillia, where none of us had played the game in the same room together, and we had to figure out how to make all the co-op stuff work on site, despite the fact our run was on like the second day. That was
for that.
We were in a hotel room that happened to have a TV because the first year we were in Essentia's house and we didn't have. We had one HDTV access for the entire marathon, which was not enough. This is way back before they were super cheap. So we were in a hotel room practicing and trying to figure out how do we actually make this work? What are the actual skills each character should be using? And the PX also realized about halfway through that his character could just carry an enemy up to the sky, which is the worst thing he could do because nobody else can hit that enemy. Which was very fun.
Oh, yes, Alec. So
yes.
That day that we did the Diablo run, we went out for my birthday that night to the Porcupine. And it was just right before the end of the meal, someone, naming no names, someone grabbed the bill and paid for all like 25 of us, right?
Including a massive tip.
Including a massive tip. So we all decided that what we were going to do was going to donate however much our portion of the bill had been to Limit Break. That was really cool. That was legitimately awesome. I remember that.
That is awesome.
All right, so
as I say, I think we are coming up on about our first run. We have some Final Fantasy VII Intergrade, which is the Yuffie Intermission story. We're going to have Steam Tam and the Sid on. We will still be around, don't worry.
Yep. And we're going to be throwing to the break screen right before we go, so don't worry if you see the break screen come up. We'll see you all in a few minutes with the race.
I had known this was coming, I would have done things differently.
Well, we're here. And if any of you caught the race that we had at RPG Limit Break 2022, you know what's coming. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Yuffie Percents. Both of our runners today are chasing the elusive 41-minute, 47-second world record held by X7 Strife. But not here today. Here we have our two runners. It's a rematch in Remake. First, with a personal best of 42-42. He's 2 wins and 4 losses in the series. We have steamed hams with cheese. And his opponent, with a personal best of 42 minutes, 13 seconds, the reigning, defending, undisputed Stream Series champion, the Sid.
How do you follow that up?
You don't.
What do you even say to that?
Yeah. Thanks, Bob.
Thank you,
Bob. It's a pleasure
Bob.
to be here, especially since it was our backup run that got run last minute. So I know a lot of you didn't get to see it. Thanks to GDQ for letting us get a little bit of a run back here so we can get a little bit of top billing. Love it. Love it. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, so you got
the
wrong
my
thing
brain!
in the brain.
My brain!
All right. That's it.
Why?
Good night, everybody. That's the stream.
All right. It's a one-person run. Get him out of here. Get him out.
Sid is now muted. Goodbye, Sid.
Is that like the cartoon thing where like the cane pulls Sid out of the camera? Just
And your winner by default.
Default, the two greatest words in the English language.
Default.
Well, no matter what happens, Steamed is the winner already. Oh.
All right, so we ready to do this, Sid?
I guess it just shows how nervous I am. So yeah, let's
You guys
do this and get it over with.
Do you guys want to count down?
Yeah, count us down.
All right. And we're going in 3, 2, 1, go!
Let's do it. Good luck.
Good luck. Good luck.
Good luck. Have fun.
Yeah. So right off the bat here, they were nice enough to include the OG dance animations whenever we clear these first couple of fights. We don't like that because it's slow, so we're going to do our best to make sure that doesn't happen, but sometimes the game says no. Ooh, there it is right there. That's the dance I was talking about. I hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully we'll never see it again.
I got one out of one, or one out of two so far, so.
Yeah, the Gorger kind of ambushed me in the face. I don't know how that's an ambush, but it still is, and it caused me to get the animation. So the thing is like, for whatever reason, this animation kind of bugs out if we don't do too much combat movement. Well, that's 1 out of 2, 1 out of 3. It is what it is. That third fight is kind of weird, and we have no idea why that one works, but it does sometimes. So we just go with it.
Worked for me.
It must be nice. Must be nice. So we're going to tag the switch here and save load. There's a lot more of this in the main category. There's only a few here. This elevator takes quite a long time to drop down, so if you hit the button, it'll actually go back up. Oh, there we go. We're going up. Good.
I see the reigning world champ in chat. Hello, Strife.
Hey, Strife.
So does that make this a #1 contenders match?
Yeah,
it's a setup. One of us has to win so we can actually do a race for the belt. Then I guess.
Yeah. So, do we do the Money in the Bank? You know, like give one of them a suitcase so they could just challenge Strife at another marathon.
Strife is the big brain of the category. So everything you see is basically from the brain of Strife.
Yep. He is a mind to behold. This in the main category, he's done some really, really top tier routing on. And even when I'm learning his strats, I learn new things. It is out there how tightly you can wind it. Because normally a lot of your special attacks are bound to having ATB. And most people probably think, well, your only way to get like ATB fast is first strike, right? And then you're kind of out. Well, there's actually a bunch of ATB building materia in the game. ATB assist, skill master, and ATB stagger. And we're going to be kind of like jumping around, but utilizing those in different fights. Okay, don't jump off that. That's cool. So like right here, go ahead.
Can I ask a really dumb question?
There's no dumb questions.
I know I've ruined with... Anyway. Why are you dressed like a Moogle?
So we're breaking into Midgar and trying to steal some materia from Shinra, I believe is the storyline. And right now we're trying to meet up with our contact in the Avalanche organization. And this isn't the Splinter Cell that Barrett is in charge of, but this is the actual Avalanche proper. So our cosign, whatever you want to call it, our signifier is the Moogle. That's why we're actually going the way we're going, because there's Moogle posters all over the place like that one. that tell us this is where we got to head to meet our contact. And Yuffie is wearing it to let the contact know that she's the person to talk to. There's actually a really cool cutscene that you normally never get to see before the first boss, where she takes it off and kind of does like a Sentai ninja girl transformation. That'd be
best database scene ever.
It is.
Really, puwexil Tom Clancy's Avalanche Splinter Cell.
Oh my lord!
Waiting for the crossover.
Too much fun.
I'd watch the heck out of that.
Zero damage run so far.
Not for me. The taking damage is actually super important in this category, because instead of having Fury Ring like we have in the main game, which gives us Berserk, Berserk is a negative status effect, so we actually can't cast it on ourselves. So even if we had the binding materia equipped, we couldn't self-Berserk, which is kind of frustrating. But the reason Berserk is really cool is it will increase your damage dealt by 30% at the cost of making you take 30% more damage. So in the main game, we keep constant Berserk on our party with Fury Rings to get that pretty big damage bonus. And then we also Berserk and bosses if possible, assuming their HP isn't too low for it to be a waste of time, to further increase their damage taken by 30%. But it also makes it a zero-sum game where you get hit, you go down. You hit the enemy, they go down.
Here we are in the Avalanche, and you can see that we have fake Jesse, fake Biggs, and fake Wedge.
Yeah, not Biggs, not Jesse, not Wedge. My favorite 3 characters.
And for a Condor game is super easy because all we use is the magic there, and we're pretty much done.
Of course, you can really throw super hard here if you get greedy and cast the ice too early, and then you're going to have to send units across. The normal strat is to deploy a dog, which will ignore all other enemy units and go straight for the fort. But obviously, we can just kind of one-shot it with spells. You either have to have the Sorcerer 3 board or Assassin 2, I think. Assassin's a little bit slower because you have wind instead of ice, and it won't do quite as much damage, but it will get you where you need to go. But that's one nice thing about New Game Plus. It takes away all of the Fort Condor RNG. That can be a pretty big reset point.
As an aside, shoutouts to the best Avalanche operative name in Billy Bob. The most important of Final Fantasy VII characters.
I knew that wouldn't be lost on anyone.
He's currently suffering from a broken tooth because we gave him some Dechow beans, which are apparently as hard as rocks. So
like coffee beans, I guess?
Yeah, they're supposed to be coffee beans. The way he's acting, I don't know. But yeah, we got to talk to everybody twice. Luckily, the 2 guys have fairly short dialogue, but Naoya has quite a bit. So it's not uncommon for my hand to start wanting to cramp up while I'm mashing through her dialogue. It's
this is like a long in like relative.
For this DLC,
I guess
it's relatively long. Yeah, the main
it's
game,
like 5 minutes of mashing.
It could be worse. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got a couple of side quests the game wants us to do, but it's New Game Plus hard. We don't need to do them. To be fair, though, any percent doesn't need to do them either. Let's see. I think we want to mash circle. Yeah, circle. So
still kind of stinks that we have to still talk to everybody, but whatever.
Yeah. We could mash through dialogue to cancel it with triangle and circle, so we kind of alternate just mashing the 2. Luckily, we get 2 cancel buttons, so it's a lot quicker. We got to be careful sometimes, because depending on if we need to make a choice or something, we want to mash triangle so we don't cancel out. In other cases, we want to make sure we're mashing circle at the end so that we cancel out and move on. So you're going to get the push today?
Let's see. There's a little thing that we're referencing here. It's called Nio push. Up here past this cutscene, Nio's going to slow walk us to where we need to go and try to get ahead of her to get her to push us.
Oh, yeah, I guess go ahead.
Saves all of 2 seconds.
Oh, whopping 2 seconds.
You say that, but that's the difference between your PB and the world record.
Yeah. Let's see.
Yeah.
Oop, good position.
No.
I think I got it.
I knew I was too far away.
Hey, Nio push, baby. Oh, she got ahead of me, though.
Yeah, I had a partial one the other day, and she just shoved me off. get away from me. So I spent a lot of time elbowing her, and she wasn't having none of it. So the whole reason I was talking about Fury Ring a minute ago is because we don't have access to it. So our 3 main accessories are going to be Gozu/Mezu Drive, Goddardumrung, which it gives us a free limit. That's not as overpowered as you might think, because it's in a place of a accessory that will increase our offensive damage. So right now we have Goddardumrung on Sonon. We'll swap it out for Kindred Cord later so we can do the dual attacks, which I'll clarify. It's the synchronization, but that'll reduce how much the ATB costs for him, so we don't have to worry about his ATB as much. Right now we're using Gozu. We'll be switching to Mezu later. Those give us a 50% damage bonus if we meet certain conditions. The first condition is wearing Chthonian Armlet, which there's only one of, so it has to be on Yuffie pretty much. Both Sonon and Yuffie have relatively the same stats, so like their damage output is really only different because of the one magic up materia we have and the Gozu/Mezu Drive we have equipped. But Gozu gives us 50% if we're at full HP, and 2%, every 2% HP max lost is 1% damage down. Mezu Drive is the inverse, where if we're at 0 MP, we get 50%. We have to tank a lot of damage in Nero, so we'll switch out to Mezu towards the end of the game once we manage to drain her MP. But for now, basically, if we're not at max HP, our damage drops off pretty hard. We're going to save load here to stop Naoya from talking, because it takes a long time for this dialogue to finish, which will actually delay how long it takes to start the fight with the Corneo thugs that try to pick up Naoya. Really, really weird situation that they just... Nayo. Pronounce a what name? English. I don't understand. Words? Maybe? So, yeah, they try to pick her up and take her over to Corneo, so we're not having none of it, so we're going to give them a little bit of a lesson for being such despicable individuals.
It's always fun. It's always fun to explode enemies, like the way that we do.
Yeah. Not for me, though. He decided to thunder first.
Oh, he did it backwards.
Yep. So, Synergy is usually a really, really powerful materia. In the main game, we can do a lot more to manipulate it because we can swap between characters. But basically, in this mode, we're at the mercy of the AI and whether it decides to activate something immediately or activate it a little bit delayed. What we're trying to do is suck in all the Corneo thugs with Windstorm, which acts like an arrow spell, and it'll pull enemies towards the caster if conditions are met. Not everything can be sucked in, but a lot of enemies can be pulled. Bosses, not usually, though. So what we're trying to do is group them all together and then tag them with Fire and Magnify, and then it bounces them up. The secondary casting of Fire will trigger, bounce them again, and you'll just nuke them with 3 Fire and Magnifies. But if the AI decides to activate Synergy first, which is not very common, you just got to kind of throw in some extra damage there and hope it works.
Yeah, that's kind of where I deviate a little bit because I still use Faraga for that fight. No fuss, no muss.
I didn't even know Faraga worked. I figured it wouldn't work because it would take too long to cast, but maybe I should switch back to that.
Yeah.
Because the difference between a Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3 spell is mainly AoE. Tier 1 spells are a little bit weaker and obviously much cheaper. Tier 2 and Tier 3 actually have higher cost, and surprisingly, they both do the same amount of stagger damage. So like the little bar below the HP is the stagger bar. So Tier 3 spells' only benefit is that it does more damage. And because of the way the main game is, you usually cap out damage pretty easily with a Tier 2 spell, so we really don't need it. But to put it bluntly, the main characters have better stats in general. Cloud's a very flexible character that can do physical or magic. Tifa has some okay magic, but nothing like really too overwhelmingly powerful. Her physical's pretty good. Unfortunately, the game is really balanced around magic, so it puts her in like a second or third place. Aerith is hands down the best because her magic gets up to about 500 magic attacks, so she can one-shot pretty much everything. And then there's Barret. They tried to make Barret a tank, so he's got not so good stats.
Oh, language, security guard, language.
Whoa, I didn't do nothing.
No, I was yelling at the video game security guard.
I was about to say, I was like, what'd I do? But yeah, the reason I was going over the main game stats is we have 2 Barretts right now, and one of them is not controllable. So we're in a pretty tight spot here where our damage is very, very bad. I Dance of the Dragon, huh? Why? What is going on here? Okay, that's an interesting strat. Not quite sure what I was going for there. Alright, so you can usually snake the boomerang in between the crates, but the game decided to just not let me use it for a while there, so real fun chapter 1. The game is being very rude right now. Very, very rude.
Had a really nice gate pattern there. It was pretty much wide open.
Yeah, I could have made it, but I accidentally Dance of the Dragon instead of Blizzarding somehow. Oh, good. At least I bounced off the corner there. Saved that fraction of a second. It's fine. I'll make it up in Chapter 2. Yeah. Yeah, these early fights are pretty easy, but the problem is like, since you have 2 Barretts, your damage output is incredibly bad. So you need to basically tag team every fight. Usually start the fight with ice with Yuffie, follow up with a fire spell from Sonon. Because like even if I had Fire Good those 2 enemies, the elite wouldn't have died. So you need either ice to stagger and then fire to finish it off. But in that case, I accidentally swapped to Sonon too early, and instead of casting ice with Yuffie, I cast Dance of the Dragons, which for some reason I call Dragon Drive all the time. I'm not sure where that came from, but it's a cooler name, I think.
What are any potential sticking points?
In terms of the run, most of it is just like maintaining our HP. Unfortunately, with a category this short, because it's an RPG, it's a bunch of paper cuts situation where there's no like big breaking point, but it's a lot of little things that can throw the run for you.
Yeah, case in point. I just lost a couple seconds because there's this thing that Sid and I were talking about before we streamed about
ice.
Floor ice. Yep. So the ice sometimes will clip through the floor and then it won't damage the enemy. So that's always a fun thing to watch out for in the speedruns.
Yeah, but the main category is where it's at its worst.
But they're not bugs; they're features. So
yeah.
Wait, what causes that? Do you have any idea?
We're not 100% certain, but I think what it is the damage calculation is when it lands on the enemy. So, for some reason, spells will like clip through the geometry or hit the environment, and it creates the particle effect, but not the damage calculation, which is what the worst part about it is that it's extremely deceptive, because you see the spell visibly, but it actually is not active at that point.
Yeah.
Okay, Wrathhound, work with me.
Does all the things, but damage the enemy.
Pretty much, yeah.
If only there was some way that software developers could like cover up any issues with the game. So you could call it like a patch or something. Imagine if they could patch things. That would be great.
I can only hope that the next 2 games do not. I think this is one of the sticking points that's the worst for me is spells hitting the environment. Because a lot of the enemies can move pretty aggressively, and you can end up straight up like putting ice on a lamppost. And it could mess up your early game pretty bad. Excuse me? Sure, that works.
Wrathhound was not pleasant. All that practice for nothing.
Yeah, he decided to be very, very nice to me, and I got both Blizzeras in, so...
Oh, you lucky
I guess the
dog.
game has cut me a break, despite me playing pretty poorly in that first start. Really do enjoy this game. This category, I kind of get a little toxic because it's so frustrating sometimes, but it is enjoyable to have a much shorter category where you can practice a lot of the more cool things in the game. So I really enjoy the hard mode specifically because we have access to everything. It allows us to freely like abuse Skillmaster, ATB Stagger, and ATB Assist to just float in ATBs so that we can chain commands back to back. And it becomes really input heavy and very strategic in how we choose to attack, what we choose to attack with, and where. 1, 2, 3. Okay, good.
For those of you just joining us, welcome to RPG Limit Break Hype kickoff stream. We're here celebrating the fact that we are in full swing now. The RPG Limit Break season. The event itself is going to run by 22nd. Once again, we're going to be raising a bunch of money for NAMI, National Alliance on Mental Illness. Not only do you have your awesome runners, Steam Towns, the Cheese, and the Sid, you have myself, Bob the Ninja Goldfish, in chat. You have HeroicSpiritGamer. You there, gamer?
Yep, I'm here.
And we have Ghoul.
Howdy, we're still hanging out.
So we're here. We're going to be watching chat. If you have any questions, we're going to do our best to answer them. So, yeah.
So now would be a good time. Do we want to show off the Yuffie change cutscene? Do we have time for that, or?
Yeah, we got a minute to talk about this since we have this nice long 2-minute elevator climb we've already passed like 30 seconds of. So we got a cutscene coming up that we usually have as a donation incentive, and I hear we may have a little bit of free time. Is that the case? You guys want to try that out, or shall we leave it?
I say we let it rock.
Yeah, let it roll.
All right. There you guys go. You get your reward without even needing to donate. Thanks for dropping by. Appreciate it.
You said the magic word Sentai, so I'm interested.
Hey,
We'll call it a show of good faith. They'll pay for it at the marathon eventually, right?
Maybe.
pay it
Everybody
forward,
in
right?
chat that watches this has to donate during Limit Break now. It's just the rule.
But the rules are everyone in chat does have to donate like $30 to Limit Break.
All right. Yeah, I'm taking down names, guys. I see you in chat, and I'm writing
Mods,
it down.
get everyone's name.
Better save that money, chat. I
So
see
these
you, Deedlit.
boxes here have a bunch of items in them, but they're really not that important. There is a secret box up there that has 5K that not a lot of people know about. Normally, these items would be very useful. They either give us haste, a free revive, an elixir. But in hard mode, the way that they decided to balance it was by limiting our MP recovery. So our MP starts at full at the beginning of each chapter, and that's it. There's a few abilities like MP Absorb, which can obviously recover our MP. Every 1,000 damage is 1 MP back, depending on the enemy's HP, if they have enough HP to refill it. We have trade-off, so every 1,000 damage we take is also 1 MP. And then, not important to this mode, but in the main mode, Aerith also has Soul Drain, which is a 3% recovery on non-staggered enemies and a whopping 15 on staggered enemies. So if you go into a staggered phase with 2 ATB, that's 30% of your MP back. It's really nice. Yeah, so we got the transformation coming up, so we'll let it rock. It's probably one of us are gonna end up misinputting here, I'm sure. So we'll have to skip it the second time when we redo the fight. But
Yeah, that's what I was worried about.
Okay, by the way, what is the purpose of the elevator ride? That was just 2 minutes of an elevator ride. I didn't even see any dialogue.
The whole gimmick is that you can grab those crates for free items, but in hard mode, we can't use items, so it's...
Yeah, it's definitely a new game only sort of thing. It's the shopping section, especially for the easy and normal speedruns. It's definitely the shopping section. You're hoping and praying that you get Solaris or Mega Elixir. All right, let's let it roll.
Yep.
A little of both, actually. I have kind of a heavy zoom.
So yeah, we'll try and go over the boss fight once we're done with it. It's a little bit hard to do the inputs, but to be clear, as long as we don't make too big of an input error, we're basically dealing with a glorified cutscene here. So we get a cutscene into a cutscene, at least if we do it right.
Okay. So how many different versions of BBS are you going to play at the same time today? The PSP version alongside the other two?
Props to Susie. I forget her last name, but I think her name is Susie, the voice actor of Yuffie. Did a great job.
Well,
the English VA for this entire game and the DLC is stellar. A lot of people play on JP, but I play exclusively on English because it's so good.
Alright, so talkity.
Maybe a little bit too much smoke.
Never mind. It's just some kid. Right?
Who are you calling a kid?
Well, at least she landed on her feet. Not sure how that works, but okay.
There's no fall damage in Final Fantasy games. You know this.
I don't know how he cut the rope with a blunt pole. That's what I want to know.
Got eyes on hostiles. Requesting backup.
So the thing to know is the tail's weak to thunder magic pretty much exclusively, and the head's only weak to physical. So that's the way we're going to be doing this fight in a very particular way. That's no Thunderga. Man, for a minute there, I thought I messed up my inputs. Yeah, that's right. Slow but right. Also, someone's got 7,777 HP. Where's my Berserk mode?
Oh, lucky sevens.
I don't know how I ended up with it, but it's pretty funny.
I am sad they got rid of that part of the game.
It would be a really interesting routing method to make that consistent. So yeah, this is why it's a glorified cutscene. We have a lot of time to do the damage that we need to do, so we just kind of have to sit around and wait. It's really important to make sure that the shuriken makes contact here, because you can see it's ticking for like 140 damage. It's quite a bit in this fight. Oh, no! Please don't let that work. Okay. I almost didn't throw properly there and missed the containment drones. Oopsie. I'm going to ATB boost here, even though I have full ATB, just as a timing method. Are you serious?
Uh-oh.
Let's see here. How do I want to do this? Thunderga from you, I think. Alright. I hit the head with Thunderga, so I had to, like, recover real quick. Unfortunately, that's just an example of how bad someone's damaged, because Thunderga would have one-shot the tail in that instance from Yuffie. I think we actually have to do this backwards. I need to Art of War here, and then Banishment. This damage is so bad. Yeah, for some reason my MP was really low there. Weird.
Easy peasy.
Yeah, that's the nice thing about that boss fight, is at the end there, you need to have enough MP for a Thunderga, but if you don't, you can kind of make it up as you go along. Usually Art of War into Banishment is enough to kind of get you where you need to go, which is not what you want to do. You want Thunderga Banishment. Banishment's a really cool move that we rarely get to use, unfortunately. It's a long-range magic attack that hits pretty hard, but it only hits really hard after you've used 3 moves minimum before it. Every 3 moves that you use will charge it up a level, maxing out at 2. So
6.
We'll say it's... Well, six moves, because it's 0, 3 moves, and it moves up to level 1, and then 6 moves total, it moves up to 2. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But right there, it was at full power. Unfortunately, my MP was a little bit low. I must have accidentally cast a spell somewhere and not even realized it. I think I cast an additional Thunderga earlier, but my ATB was so good, it wasn't a problem. I was pretty sure that's what I saw, but I was like, I guess I must have just imagined it. I guess I didn't. Because you normally have like around 20-ish MP there.
Good thing about this run is that while there's not a whole lot of wiggle room, there's a lot of backups that we can employ because we have so many options. I should probably do the menu.
Doing the moves backwards is my strat.
While we're starting to do a chapter 2 here, do we want to interject a little bit with where we are in the story? We haven't talked about that in a little bit.
Yeah, so here in the story, if we played the main game, this would be right around between chapter 9 and 11, where Cloud and party are going through the sewers, going through the graveyard, all that good stuff, up to the tower. We're basically right in that section before that. So what we're doing is breaking into Shinra to steal the ultimate materia, and yeah, that's what we're doing. Obviously, they wouldn't recognize two Wu-Taians sneaking into the Shinra building, but we'll ignore that part.
I mean, Yuffie's a ninja. She's just sneaky. Although I will say, what kind of a ninja uses a boomerang as a weapon?
A really good one?
Well, it's a
really
shuriken.
Well,
it's a shuriken. Overlarge shuriken.
Yeah, she uses both, right? She uses both boomerang and the shuriken. Just kind of depends.
Yeah, I know. I'm just laughing at like the weapon that they're using in the run is a boomerang, which is just hilarious to me.
Yeah.
There actually is a reason we use the boomerang. Most of the weapons are pretty mediocre here, but because she gets the magic up, which is an extra 20%, we use boomerang, which has like 14 more magic than the 4-point. I used to use the 4-point shuriken because the damage wasn't that big of a swing, because she actually has an ability called Perfect Guard, and every time you Perfect Guard, you would get ATB back with a 4-point. With a boomerang, however, it's magic barrier and barrier, which really doesn't come up that much. But it is... The thing is I thought you couldn't get through these fights without guarding in some places, and I was wrong. Very, very wrong.
I mean, and really, magic is key in this run, because magic just blows through pretty much any enemy.
Yeah, the magic is way overtuned in this game. And props to the developers, they were correct, because the first time you play through, you can't get all the weapon points, so your stats are a little bit lower overall. So even in the main category, it's pretty well balanced. The Yuffie DLC is actually really nice, because even if you're running new game, I think you start at level 25, and all your materia starts at level 2.
Yeah.
So it's a much more beginner-friendly run. In terms of top end, when you're getting towards top 3, top 4, if you're going for really good times, enemies can kind of throw you into despair, because they'll give you bad patterns and you can't PB in some cases. But for the most part, the game is pretty forgiving. For me, it feels like it's impossible to PB ever again. So I've given up on it.
It's not. You just really need a really good run with a really good Nero. We haven't even got to the terror of RNG that is Nero, so...
Yeah. The old way I used to do Nero was very, very heavy-handed. I would just stagger over and over and over again. And that's really not the best way to do it. But one of the things I found out, that this is one of the things that Strife did to really optimize the run. I was talking about ATB building materia earlier, but they actually have a really peculiar interaction with this DLC. Normally, ATB stagger is stronger because ATB stagger, HP absorb, and MP absorb can trigger multiple times with magnify, as long as the same spell type is equipped. So fire is equipped to both. So you can get multiple helpings of... why am I doing it this way? All right.
The triangle bosses are not being kind to me this run.
For some reason, I locked onto the third class and was just staring at him as I ran away. I'm not sure what I was thinking. But yeah, those can activate multiple times with Magnify. But Skill Master really can only be triggered one time, so it's kind of frustrating. Because you have to use 3 different moves to trigger it, and then it gives you 900 ATB back, not even 1,000. It's still fairly strong in the main game, but it's not perfect. The thing is, this mode has dual techs. Basically the easiest way to talk about it. The synchronized attacks where Yuffie and Sonon attack together, and they'll use either synergized Windstorm or synergized Art of War, depending on what you tell them to do, actually is really, really busted, and I don't even know if the developers understood this. But it counts as 2 moves, and not only 2 moves, but 2 separate moves. So Synergized Art of War is 2 moves, and that will trigger ATB assist every single time, which gives a 600 ATB allotment to your party members, in this case Sonon. And it also counts as 2 different moves for Skill Master. So now you only need 1 more to trigger Skill Master. Thing is, Synergy Windstorm does the exact same thing. So if we loop those 2 commands back to back, we get a bunch of extra ATB, and we get a bunch of ATB assist activations. So it's you can go pretty ham on that and not run out of ATB.
Would you say that you go steamed ham with cheese on that?
Yeah.
Very possible.
I was about to, you rang?
Mm-hmm.
All right, now we can disconnect Ghoul, please. That's a season wrap on Ghoul.
So
you know you like. Okay, Bob, you can't say that you like Pun Arm dying and then be mad about that. Come on.
I was in the middle of saying, let's be honest, I'm only mad because I didn't think of it.
Okay, now it's fair.
Oh.
I'm actually surprised we're keeping this pretty even if I'm looking at this correctly.
Yeah, luckily my Magitech Trooper is ejected pretty quick. Unfortunately, it's RNG how fast they decide to eject there. There's a cool thing in the main game where you have to fight 2 of them, and if you can get them to both eject at the same time, only 1 enemy will appear. But it's nigh impossible to do it in this. I don't think I've ever seen it in this category.
So as somebody who hasn't played on hard, what are all the differences? You can't use MP restoratives in combat.
We actually can't use items at all. So HP, MP, all that stuff. You have to either rely on benches for HP recovery or cure spells. You can also use HP absorb. So the thing is, benches are about like 10, 15 second animation, something like that. And those no longer recover MP. MP only regenerates at the start of each chapter. MP absorb or trade-off activations. Aerith also has Soul Drain. There's another one. There's crates in the game that have Mako shards in them that give you 10% MP recovery. You can actually cheese those out and reset fights to respawn those. Obviously, in the speedrun, we really don't have a reliable way to do that because it's about 5 seconds per reset on an enemy fight. So MP is slowly draining. A lot of the enemy stats, I think, are doubled because the stats are halved for easy. Then the baseline stats are normal. Then I think most stuff gets doubled going into hard, so things are a lot more tanky, more defense. And hard is only available through New Game Plus, so we basically have everything maxed out. So like the major difference from an any percent is having access to all the materia, and we don't have to waste time going to get it because we already did it before the run even started.
I don't think it's exactly double. I think it's like 1.4 or something like that, 40% more.
Yeah, it's just like a drastic oversimplification. I don't know off the top of my head. So the mistake there with a cutter is I Art of War the blade, which only does a set amount of damage to the body. You want to Art of War the body twice there, so that's a little mistake. And on top of that, Synergy won't hit the body. It'll try and hit the broken arm there, so that's extra damage I miss as well. The thing is,
the arm that no longer exists.
Yeah. With a main game, you can kind of trick the game into retargeting if you switch to the character, but because Sonos completely AI controlled, like Synergy is a very big give and take and can make your life harder in several places than easier. But the amount of damage is just so important because our stats are so low. We have to just deal with it. Main category Synergy is unironically broken, and like Abzu 1 can be melted in sub 10 like sub 12 seconds, something like that. It's like 15-second fight, I think. It's kind of wild. So here, they'll allow us to pick which enemy, and here we're going to use the Morph unit. Pretty much, a lot of these are 2 bad choices, and we pick the least bad choice.
What's bad about the other choices?
The other one was a Magitech Trooper, so that one enemy I had to jump into, and then it'll eject into the other arm, into the internal unit, which takes forever. There you go. So
yeah, it's the choice of an enemy being like super high damage or the enemy that you need to defeat twice.
A really good example is the first one with the mono drives, those 2 floating enemies. They can add a barrier, physical barrier, so they're really rough, but they have super low HP. So we can reliably one-shot them, or we fight 2 sweepers, which have really high HP, So we need to use like 2 Thundigas to get through it. And it's about 3 seconds per like tier 3 spell. So 2 seconds to charge and about a second for the spell to like go off and hit. Orange pants. Okay, didn't actually take damage there. Nice. The thing is it's just like a matter of one being a little bit faster. Most of the enemy fights are just kind of like, this is hard and this is really hard. The main issue is just like our damage output being very, very low. So we have to be very shrewd about how we attack and what we attack with. Right there, like I was talking about earlier with Skillmaster, I actually used Brumal Form. Brumal Form is a really, really, really cool move that I did not use at all casually, and I regret it. It takes almost no ATB to activate. The only requirement is having like 1,000 ATB, but I think it only like uses 100. So it counts as a single move for Skillmaster. It lets you dodge attacks, and if you actually get hit by something while you're in it, you get even more ATB back rather than spending just 100. So it's really good at activating Skillmaster and getting your third ability for pretty much free here. So we're going to run into Scarlet here, and I need to be a little bit quiet because I tend to start throwing towards endgame if I'm not paying attention.
Well, Death Wheel was a disaster because I forgot to ATB boost.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
So we are going to be stun locking Scarlet here with Thundiga spells. Actually attacking her here immediately with Yuffie, backing her up to the wall, will give me enough time to basically stun lock her in this phase.
I actually don't think I have enough MP with Sonin to do the fight.
Ooh, that's rough.
I'm thinking.
I mean,
no, it should be good.
As long as you have the one Thundiga to start the stun lock in phase 2, you should be fine.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Well, you had me worried there for a minute. I was like, well, not like this.
I was going to load a safety save, but we're good.
Load safety save after final boss. Winner!
So, yeah, I had to... it may have looked like I was messing around there, but you actually have to wait for those guys, because they can disappear if you try to attack them too soon. There are a lot of enemies in the game that either have like a dodge or disappear move, and there's certain conditions to meet. And most of the time, just attacking them can trigger it, so we have to be careful about what we do. Okay, so we're going in with 4 MP, huh? It's kind of annoying. But yeah, those one guys, I have to make sure they're trying to shoot me to actually land my hit there, or else... That is a very interesting choice. I guess we'll just do double Synergized Art of War. That's interesting. At least it one-shots it, I guess. Normally you want to use Synergy Windstorm there and juggle them, but I guess that works too. Didn't know it did, but it does. We got to be careful here. These guys are incredibly glassy. I want to Windstorm all of them, so if I throw that boomerang too early, I can accidentally knock the red guy down before the other ones and Windstorm. Windstorm, there's 2 different versions. If you throw the Shuriken, it does a localized Windstorm that does a lot of magic damage. And if you throw it, it actually does a alternate one that hits a lot harder. So that's what I need to make sure I activate there. And one of the other things with the Synchronize, this is the other reason why Synergy is really like high risk, low reward in my opinion, is it can keep you from activating synchronized attacks or the dual attacks. So I have to be very careful to make sure that I go for the synchronized attack after the thunder is finished, or else I'll just do a solo attack and my damage will bottom out and I'm going to be a very sad boy. Yeah, whatever. So you want to go into Nero between 2 to 4 MP here. I probably shouldn't have healed with Yuffie because it loses you a little bit of time, but I decided to be greedy about it, and I'll probably get punished for it, but we'll see. What is this? That's such a weird pattern. So I was throwing and retrieving there instead of attacking normally, because that doesn't apply a ton of pressure. I want to save the stagger for phase 3, where he gets really, really hard to deal with. The first 2 phases, we're going to be maintaining our skill master loop by making sure we do Art of War Windstorm and then double Art of War, so that I can Brumal form at the start of the 3rd phase to trigger a 3rd skill master. You can alternatively ATB boost, but I find it incredibly hard to counter his move at the start of 3, so just let it go. This phase here, we're going to just Art of War twice and bully him into going into phase 3 is basically what's going to happen. We need to have really high HP here, though, which is why we switched to Mezu Drive, because if he's not actively attacking, he can guard with his wings, and we basically... yeah, sorry about that. I guess she just decided to go right next to my window and start barking, and there is nothing I can do. Oh, little puppy. Okay, this should be fine.
The great equalizer, Narrow.
Yep. So as long as I leave this with a little bit of ATB, I'm okay. Alright. 3MP. I don't know if I'll have enough to cure, but I don't think I've taken enough damage for it to be an issue. Guess we'll find out if I punked myself or not by doing that additional cure. Yeah, my puppy is very much an attention hog. So we're just going to step forward a couple of steps here to get us in the right position, and then Brumal form to stop us from moving. For it. Nope. Now we, the dive kicks here push a ton of pressure so that we can stagger the boss pretty easily here. Gotta wait for the thunder again, like I said, so I'm looking at the shortcuts to make sure that I have it available. We'll throw the shuriken here, ATB boost, and then cure. So now I have more than enough HP here. What I would like him to do is teleport immediately, then I can counter attack with Art of War, but if he attacks immediately, I just gotta kind of stand here and take it, or else I risk whiffing. We just want to make sure to target the wings here so that we actually do double the damage pretty much. Art of War, and I take this very slow because I get spooked, and this will be time in now. Every time I fight this boss, I get scared.
Meanwhile, you'll see me just not tack menu it at all.
Yeah, that is a very gutsy strat that I will give you credit for because I have missed way too many times. So the problem is you want to hit the wings so you get double the damage by hitting the wings and his body. So basically makes a synergized Art of War one-shot, but if he teleports away, it'll disengage the lock-on. So you have to like re-establish the lock-on of the wings and Art of War. It's super spooky. I don't like it.
You're super spooky.
Does he just throw an orb of darkness at you?
Here we go.
Yeah, he's a bad boy. He's got all the dark telekinetic powers.
Time.
All right, nice. That's a pretty tight one, Steve. I like it.
Yeah, that the death wheel messed everything up for me, but yeah.
Man, you had me worried early on there. I was like, oh no, I am gonna actually lose this.
Yeah, well, hey, if it wasn't for death wheel, yeah, definitely would have had it.
Yeah, that's kind of the story of this category. Is it's really like that. If you're trying for PBs, like a little mistake here or enemy kind of moving in kind of a weird way there can throw you. But like I said, this is really for like if you're going for first, second, third place. But like casually, like sub 50 is still pretty good, and like 45 is really good. You know,
I will settle with the bronze for now until I grind this out.
Yeah. The other thing I have an advantage is like, what does it seem? You run New Game on the main category, right? Yeah.
New Game easy on the main category, yeah.
So I do New Game plus hard because I absolutely find it fascinating and the fights are so cool. So I'm very used to like spamming with ATB stagger, skill master, and a lot of that stuff. So the main category is like this, but 4 minutes and 30 seconds instead of 43 minutes. It's really fun.
And given that the cutscene was like, what, I don't know, a couple minutes? Not a bad time at all. 43, 36.
Oof, yeah. Yeah, that sounds. I was about to say 43 with a cutscene. What?
Yeah.
Did we both just world record? Huh?
No. It was 45 with the cutscene. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds about right. I think it's like 2.5, something like that.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you guys are really interested in this, I really like running the main category a ton. So if you're interested in seeing how that plays out, fortunately, got to take a couple of days off for personal stuff, but I'll be back on the grind because I want to submit it to Limit Break and show you guys that there as well.
Yep. I will most likely be submitting either this or probably this, but maybe also main game for Limit Break. So,
are there other resources people can check out to?
For this, a lot of people are very active in Intermission because it's much shorter. The Discord that you can find through speedrun.com will get you where you need to go. A lot of people are very active in Intermission because it's much shorter. If you're interested in the main game and for some reason you want to do New Game Plus Hard, I actually have like a video series on that. And it goes through pretty much everything. The New Game New Game Plus Easy is a lot easier to learn because you have so many tools and enemies are so weak. But yeah, the Discord is really the place to be. Feel free to ask or ping anybody on that for sure.
Final Fantasy VII Remake speed runs. So yeah, it's our community is great. We'll answer all and any questions you have. We're very welcoming. We're a bit on the slower side now because Rebirth is coming out. So as soon as that starts getting hyped up, our community will start rocking and rolling. So.
Yep. That and Final Fantasy 16 got us all on the edge of our seats.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a great year for us Final Fantasy lovers.
Not just y'all on that one is excitement.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it did come up once again, like game submissions for the main marathon, which will be in June, are open right now. You guys can go check out the Limit Break Discord for links. I believe also they should be on our Twitter and everywhere else. Definitely would love to see those submissions come in. Again, see the event is July 16th through the 22nd, and submissions are now until the 23rd of April. This is why I write down my notes, and I have my notes open when I'm reading.
It's July. Cool.
Yeah, I said June at first, and then I realized and said July.
Yeah.
And I corrected myself. Yeah.
One of those days. So as long as you didn't say January.
One of those, yes. All the information is again on our Twitter and in our Discord, and in my notes that I did not read before I said that. So the classic. So I think we're going to transition to a quick little break here while we get set up again. We'll have a Q&A with a bunch of staff. We'll have puwexil in here so you guys can talk about game submission stuff and games committee things, and how to make your submissions really pop and everything like that. So give us just a minute. Alrighty, we are back. Hello, everybody, once again. So this is the staff Q&A section. So we're going to kind of go over a lot of little things about the event. We'll be taking questions from chat. So if you guys have them, go ahead, get them ready. We have puwexil, who is our event director / the head of the games committee. So any questions about that would definitely be great for him. We have Bob, who is our volunteer director. He's also our NAMI liaison. He's in charge of all of our contacts with the charity itself. And then we have Gamer with us, who is our tech director. So say hi. How are y'all doing today?
Doing good. Really excited to see the hype starting to build for our event this year.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And seeing the submissions start to roll into it makes it feel all the more real too. After we've just been talking about speedrunning games to raise money for NAMI for several months, to actually see submissions start to come in and start to be able to think about what we're actually going to do.
It's always one of my favorite parts of the when the event comes up is when the game submissions start going live and we start seeing a bunch of games, and always exciting to see, because sometimes I don't always follow speedruns and like what the runs are, so you'll see them like, how did that estimate get so short? It's always a really exciting time frame.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I figured we'd start off first with just kind of talking about the event itself. So what are some of the logistics that go into this? How does this happen? Where is it this year, first of all?
We are going to be returning to the Doubletree Hotel. Salt Lake City Airport venue that we've been using for the 2022-2019 events. We're back in Salt Lake City and we're back at the DoubleTree.
Yeah, and as for some of the logistics, I mean, obviously there's a lot of things that go into it. One of them is the venue itself, obviously, and getting the venue, contract signed. But then it's a matter of, how do we put it on the event? And so there's two angles there. There's how do we get all the things in place to have the Twitch broadcast go and be successful? But then how do we do that physically in a venue location, which is where all of our volunteers come into play? There's obviously a lot to consider.
Yeah, so when does this all start? When did we start talking about Limit Break 2023 being a possibility?
Well, we began looking for our venue trying to get a contract signed back in November of last year, about a month after the last event ended. And then
we did like a staff debrief about 2 weeks after the event, where we went over all of our feedback and then all of the feedback. And so we did ours, and then we opened the feedback thread, the attendees and everything else. The feedback from that, we did another feedback meeting to cover all of that. And from that point, we moved to starting to look for the venue and reaching out to certain other small things that we could do, like small staff restructuring and things like that.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, there's definitely a lot. So this is my first year being on staff as well. So this is the first time I've really seen kind of almost behind the curtain and see there's a lot that goes in to make these events happen.
Speaking of which, when we did the introductions, you didn't say what your roles were.
I was going to point this out. Yeah,
staff structure.
Yes, I am the one of the prize coordinators, and I'm also the head of the interview team. That is all under my dominion, as it may. So yeah, I'm in charge of getting all the prizes and all that.
Changelings where?
I can butt in too. There's also another important staff role we should talk about too, and that's being in charge of choosing who is going to be run for the Birth by Sleep run next, which is everybody in chat right now. Nice segue, right?
Yes.
So yeah, like Mubot's been saying, if you just type the name of the character that you want AT0 to run for his Birth by Sleep run next, that will be tabulated, and we'll be cutting it off once we're done talking here.
It wouldn't let me vote for Psydark. I was quite sad.
Let's say, puwexil, you're the one that actually can see that. Who is currently winning?
The numbers are spinning because we've got
let it be a mystery.
Being tabulated.
All right, it's a mystery.
I won't say exactly who's winning, but I will say it is neck and neck right now between all three of them. So a few votes could make the difference.
Interesting. All right.
Still need Psydark percent. I'm just saying. Anyway.
So one of the great things about Limit Break is, of course, it is a charity event. We are raising money for a great cause. Bob, you're in charge of our charity coordination. Why don't you talk a little bit about what our charity is and why we went with them?
So for our 7th installment, we will be once again raising money for NAMI, National Alliance on Mental Illness. If it hasn't been clear in the previous 6 iterations of RPG Limit Break, mental health is a very important cause to the organizing committee and the staff that help put on the event. And as such, it is and even beyond that, it's just something that everyone at some point in their life struggles with, even if they don't realize they are. And we believe that NAMI is a great resource for people who that we can support. And we are, and I don't think I'm erroneous in saying this, but I have been told that we are NAMI's largest volunteer-run fundraiser of the year every year. So, yeah, it's a pretty awesome thing to be raising money for NAMI again.
Yeah, almost definitely. And it's I know that like all of us have our own personal things that have talked about it. Bob has had more than a few teary-eyed conversations about this at the end of previous marathons, which is
I mean, especially now in the era of COVID, mental health is, dare I say, more important than ever. Which isn't fair to say it wasn't important before, but there are more people realizing and working out that they need to find help, and it is just it's just one of those things that we're so glad to support someone like NAMI. I say someone, but a charity like NAMI. And having built up a relationship with them over the years and gotten to know them, they are very good at their jobs, and we're happy to be supporting them once again.
Definitely. So, I guess we should go towards games questions. puwexil. So you are the head of the games committee, correct? So you're in charge of selecting the games that are in the marathon based on the submissions that are currently running from now until the 23rd. Let's talk about that a little bit. What are we looking for in submissions? What makes a submission really pop in your eyes?
Sure. Well, let me just go ahead and throw a quick link into chat on the kind of the full guidelines. But I'll give a quick rundown of them too. So, I guess for starters, RPG Limit Break for since our third marathon in 2017 has been basically a full week or 6.5 days, because we don't start at midnight, we start at noon. And we usually we start at noon on Sunday, then wrap up around roughly midnight on the following Saturday. So that's generally about 156 hours. And then just because we're dealing with RPGs, which are generally longer runs than like a platformer type games or games like that, I mean, we want to have kind of runs that are longer, just be a lot stronger as far as kind of the other criteria on our list. And then we also want to have kind of a nice variety of runs too, as far as what genres they're from, how long they are, just kind of all factors like that. So so that's length. Then we have donation incentives. I mean, that's one of the things we're here for. Is in addition to kind of putting on a cool show to be part of and to watch, is we want to raise money for NAMI. I believe we've raised approximately $600,000 across all of our events so far. 100,000, or I think it was actually about 105,000 in last year's event, and we're definitely hoping to top that this year. And then I guess if anybody's watching this just isn't really familiar with speedrun marathons in general, when we say donation incentives, that means like if you can like rename a character or like choose between or like in the case of the run that's after this, Birth by Sleep, choose which character is played as. We put those up for what's called a bid war, where donors can kind of vote with their wallets as far as having their donation to NAMI also count towards something going on in the game, kind of leaving their own mark on the run too. So just we like to see those in the submissions. Let's see, then just entertainment value too. I mean, like we like runs to have kind of cool tech, tricks, strategies, skips, all that kind of thing that people are going to want to tune in and stick around to see. We have kind of renownedness of the game or series. It's not like a huge factor, but I mean, we do want to have kind of a decent chunk of games on our schedule be games that just people have heard of before and will want to tune in to see speedruns of. I mean, please do not feel discouraged from submitting submitting a super obscure game that you are the only person to have actually finished or speedrun of or even played in general. We do definitely take those too. Marathon safety is another big one, just because when you submit to our event, you need to give an estimate for kind of how long you expect the run to take, and just how we like to have consistency as far as just being able to meet that estimate, like not have it go either significantly over or significantly under, either because of just safety issues or randomness or factors like that. Another kind of lesser factor too is language. Like since the vast majority of people that watch our event speak English, we like to have the games have English text as much as possible, just to make them easier to follow along. Just because I think kind of an undersold factor in why people tune in to our event too is to kind of relive their own experience of playing one of these games. Because like a lot of RPGs, you're looking at like 20, 30, 40 or more hours to do a full playthrough. And that's not something someone can just decide to do on like an evening or a weekend or something. So a lot of people watch runs in order to kind of relive their experience of playing the game in a condensed fashion, and having the text be in a language that they could natively speak is nice. Although it's not essential too. We've had plenty of games with Japanese text or other languages too. We kind of like to have freshness with runs too. So like if a run has been in our event recently, we're generally going to want to see at least like new categories or like major new tech or strat developments in order for us to consider taking it again. See, we like submitters to have pretty good personal bests at their game. I mean, don't need to be a world record holder or world record contender or anything, because especially with runs like this, getting world record generally involves not safety saving ever for multiple hours or using strats that are not marathon safe or consistent. But just having a good personal best time at the run is a selling point for it, one of many. Kind of like, and then for location, kind of like our run, our event last year, this is going to be a hybrid event where we'll be having runs both performed on site at our venue in Salt Lake City, Utah, but we'll also accept runs performed remotely from the runner's home. We will be we will be having a bit of favoring for on-site runs, just because we this is an on-site event and we want our content to be majority on-site, but strong remote run submissions will definitely have a place too. As part of making a submission too, you need to provide a submission video, which is just a video of you doing the run within your estimate, and then kind of beyond that, it's really whatever you feel like makes the best case. Like some people just submit their personal best videos. Some people make a special, just do a no reset run with marathon style commentary over it. Some people submit runs that they did from other speedrun marathons, either online or in person. Just whatever you feel works best. And then and also, as far as runs actually performed at our event for retro games, we do require that retro console games be played either on original hardware or on kind of an official digital port sanctioned by the developer. Although submission videos don't need to meet those requirements, but the run performed at the event does. And we will have console hardware on hand. And I mean, if you think that's going to be an issue for you, just let us know, and we can help you figure it out. And then I guess the last point too I want to stress too is that if anybody's questioning if their game is actually an RPG or not, don't worry about it. Just go ahead and submit it, because our general goal is to have it kind of make a schedule of games that people that are fans of RPGs will want to watch and donate to support our charity partner. and then we'll be my committee and I will be deciding on a case-by-case basis which games kind of aren't good fits towards that goal, but kind of trying to objectively define what is or isn't an RPG is something we specifically don't do.
I was going to say, we've seen a lot of kind of, I'm not going to call them not RPGs, but they're very strange for RPGs. Things like Custom Robo and things like that have been in the marathon in the past. And by a lot of traditional metrics, there's no leveling up in Custom Robo or anything like that you would see in like a traditional JRPG, but it ended up being a good fit, so that's why I believe the Games Committee ended up taking it. I think we'll see similar things like that going forward as well. So I'm not on the Games Committee, but my advice for similar things is always submit, let them decide whether or not they think it's a fit for the marathon.
Yeah, and I guess just to wrap up my part too. I mean, any questions whatsoever about submissions to the event or just the event in general? Just hit us up in our Discord or send us an email, committee@rpglimitbreak.com or management@rpglimitbreak.com. It'll all get to us.
One more question from the chat. How do you go about deciding the schedule once you actually have a games list?
That's a good question. Actually, So, because we kind of form our games list based on those criteria I just mentioned, and then making the actual schedule has a fair bit of kind of science behind it too. Because like we generally, for the first day of the event, we generally want to kind of have kind of a nice smorgasbord of different families and types of run too, just to give kind of a sampler platter of what people are in for. If we have games where we kind of know that there's heavy fan bases in certain parts of the world, we try to schedule those during times where people in those parts of the world are generally going to be away, because like it's no secret that Dragon Quest is mad popular in Japan. So we often try to kind of make an effort at least to schedule Dragon Quest games when people in Japan are at least going to be awake. And like I know there's a number of retro console RPGs that are very popular in Europe, because sadly Europe did not get a lot of retro console RPGs converted to PAL format. So when we have those, Bob knows that pain very well, I'm sure. But when we have games like that, or games that are by European runners too, we'll often try to have those be in the morning in the United States, so that it's evening or afternoon in Europe, and fans located there will still be awake. And then we also kind of try to kind of have diversity in the schedule, kind of vary up what types of games we have, so that we're not kind of having like a full day that's just Final Fantasy or Kingdom Hearts or something like that. When we have multiple games from the same franchise, we like to split those up a bit. And then if there's games that we that have like very, very strong donation incentives or bid wars associated with them, or that we're kind of otherwise just we think are likely to raise a lot of donation money, we'll often try to kind of schedule those for times of days that we think are conducive to kind of meeting those goals. So I could keep going on about it, but I think those are some of kind of the big points as far as the science that goes behind turning a games list into a schedule.
A lot of little things that kind of go together and in a way that makes sense, essentially, it sounds like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The other thing too that wasn't even touched upon is like, when is the runners even available? Like sometimes sometimes they will only show up for, let's say, half the marathon, so they'll even figure out like retroactively, where do you want to put me, and then they'll figure out their travel plans afterwards, or vice versa, which can be more restrictive. Or
and I'm sure, and there's definitely runs where there's tech reasons for wanting to schedule them certain times too. Like if we have like a very large race or something that's going to have a fair amount of tech work going into setting up and monitoring it, we'll generally want to schedule it for a time that our tech staff will largely be awake and available to work on it.
I have two questions if the chat doesn't. The first being, you said everything has to be run on original hardware. How does that affect something like a randomizer or a fan game? Is it okay to not run those in? I mean, they literally can't be right? So,
well, generally for randomizers, the way we run those on original hardware is through flash cartridges, which is where you can load custom ROMs onto an SD card that you can then play on original hardware.
Or PC mods, right? Like I play a lot of Kingdom Hearts 2 randomizer, and you just use Epic Games, and it's still native PC. So
yeah. The second question is, you mentioned this was going to be a hybrid event. Are we? What are we looking? I know we've been talked about it behind the scenes, but especially in the volunteer department, which I know we're going to come to later, we're looking to try and scale back on some of our remote volunteers. Is that a thing that's going to be happening in the game section as well?
Yeah, I mentioned that briefly when I was talking through the game selection criteria, but yeah, because I mean, allowing for remote run submissions is something that we'll be continuing to do for a while at least. But we are trying to kind of have a clear majority of our content be on site. So I mean, if you can't make it to the event, I mean, feel free still to submit. But I guess just be aware that we're going to be kind of looking for remote runs that we take to kind of be strong in other criteria on the list I went over too.
There was a question: are there breaks? Yes. Usually, we always have a production flow more or less, which is always game to a break screen. On the break screen, it's usually when we run our Twitch ads, and then we'll do any other kind of like sponsorships things we need to do there, and then usually that's also where we have our interviews. We only have interviews every so often. We'll use an interview during there as well to kind of have like a bit of stream activity while we're doing tech setups. And then when the next run's ready, we'll go live. So yeah, there is a bit of downtime between the two runs because they share a stage, right? For at least for on-site runs. So
yeah, I guess if the question is also too, is there breaks for runners during longer runs? That is entirely up to them. I mean, if a runner wants to take a break as part of their run, it's within their right as long as that's factored into their estimate. I mean, I can say that in past events, especially for on-site runs, something some runners have done is actually during like a text mashing segment or some bit of segment of the run that has very little meaningful gameplay in it, they'll actually just give the controller to one of their couch commentators to mash text for a few minutes while they use the restroom or get a drink or something.
And then we always jokingly call that co-op % suddenly.
Yep, it's always memeing about that.
So another question from the chat: is there any particular game that you want to see that hasn't been showcased yet? Do you have anything that goes into that, or is that?
Well, the answer to that is yes, although I'd really rather not discuss that. Submissions are still open at this point. I mean, we want to see lots of submissions, lots of variety as far as types of games, runners, and and then the chips will fall where they will as far as what gets onto the schedule.
Another question we have here is about Yeti and the shirt designs. So the process we have for that is usually once we have a finished game schedule, we'll send over the game schedule to the Yeti once we've made it public. And at least in the 1 year that I've been involved in that part of the process, we really haven't provided input. We kind of just go to their team and say, hey, what catches your team's eye? What do they want to draw art for? And just let them have at it. Because obviously part of the equation there is you want the artists to have their own ideas and have their own passion to make something, right? So we don't really dictate that for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the main thing that we have a bit that they kind of specifically ask us for input on is just the general event T-shirt. Like you can't really see it on my camera angle, but I'm wearing the Limit Break 2022 shirt right now. And when that was being drawn, the Yeti sent us a couple mock-ups of it to provide input on. But as far as the shirts that are like for specific games, I mean, yeah, like Gamer said, we send them the schedule once it's out, and then they turn that over to their community artists to work their magic on.
Another question from the chat. Has there ever been a game you were on the fence about and then included it and ended up being just a really, really good fit? Anything like that comes to mind off the top of your head?
Oh gosh, given that we've been doing this for 7 events now, I'd actually have to give that a fair bit of thought. If I think of something, I'll speak up. But if anybody else has an answer to,
how did submissions like last year change? Consider prior, pre-COVID, and do you expect any of that to carry over through this year, or do you expect them to be like, how many do you expect to get?
Well, submissions last year were down a bit compared to pre-COVID because I'm blanking on what the total numbers were, but I think we got about 100 fewer submissions than last year than we did for 2019, our last event before the pandemic started. I guess as far as hopes and expectations, I'd really like to see us at least get back up to the number of submissions we had in 2019, if not surpass that. Especially with the option still available to submit remote runs.
One of the weird things that we were dealing with last year is we were running the event in October.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And not in May when we usually were.
Yeah, and that wasn't purely by choice too. That was just basically how things worked out with having to postpone our hotel contract from 2020 multiple times.
Yeah, I guess we never really publicly mentioned this, but the agreement we had with our hotel was when we, obviously the two of us were in agreement when the pandemic first hit that to delay. What they themselves wanted was a roughly 6-month delay. So every 6 months we would re-meet and go, hey, we're not comfortable doing it yet. When is the next date? So we kept going back and forth every 6 months. And so the next signed contract happened to be in October, and we're like, well, I think we can safely do it now. So that's just kind of how it happened to play out in that regard.
So this is a question for Bob and Gamer mostly. How does volunteering work? Someone wants to help out, but they don't speedrun. What can they do?
All right. So when the game schedule is announced on the 14th of May, we will also be opening up volunteer applications. We'll put out tweets. We'll get on the YouTube community page. We'll put it in the Discord. And there will be a form you need to fill out. The type of form, TBD, whether it's like a Google form or something else. And in there, we will list all of the various volunteer stations that you have. At the moment, we are working on getting all of our volunteer stuff written up. If you need a list, there's things you can do remotely, and there's the things you can't do remotely. If you are remote, you are limited pretty much to moderation in the channel, applying to help us out with the social media. And there is also hosting and donation station remote stuff that you can do as well. On site, there's a lot more that you can do. There's hosting, there's donation station, there's check-in, where you check people into the event, give them their badges, and make sure they've got all their documentation and things. There's the stage tech, there's stream tech, there's interview tech, and there's audio tech. But whether all of those, some of those may not end up being volunteer positions as we are currently evolving our setup. Bear with us on that one. All of those have their own various things. Hosting, as it says, is getting on the microphone and reading stuff out. Donation Station is helping us process our donations. Cleaning and check-in are self-explanatory. There is the stage tech, which is basically helping with setup between games. Stream tech is sort of running the stream. Interview tech is helping out with the interviews, and audio tech is making sure people can hear everything, basically. The other place you can volunteer is in our safety department, which Wells chat is taken care of at the moment. That is basically moving around, making sure everyone's okay, making sure people are sticking to the safety guidelines and that sort of thing. So, yeah, there's lots of things that you can do, depending on whether you are remote or if you are on site, basically.
Yeah, and in terms of qualifications, for hosting, there is auditions. So whenever you apply through our form, whatever it ends up being, we'll have a hosting blurb for you to demo.
There's actually like a written out script that we'd like you to follow. We don't have a video or anything like that. And what will happen is our hosting role coordinator, Van will sit down, probably with myself and maybe one other person, go through all the auditions and figure out who's doing what, really.
Otherwise, most of our volunteer roles are just no experience needed, professionally or otherwise. Tech is a bit more nuanced. Obviously, there's a lot more of a skill set there that is needed, and so the qualifications that I usually use for that are either you do have experience professionally, or it could even be things like you have experience doing restream events for other marathons that are online only, or it could be and there's a variety of ways you could have relevant experience. Maybe you do volunteer work for GDQ. Obviously, we have some considerable amount of similarities between the two of us in terms of putting on-site production in that way. That's also a pretty good barometer for...
Just to speak to something quickly that Dragonista just said in chat, sounds like it could be a fun thing to attend and volunteer for sure. I'm not a speedrunner. Never have, never will. It's not my thing. I attend and I volunteer, and it's really great.
Yeah,
I want to point out, you do not have to be a speedrunner to attend.
Absolutely. So I got into the community by being a speedrunner way back a decade ago now, almost a decade to the month. I only did that for like a half a year, and I realized that speedrunning was not for me. But I stuck around in the community because it's great. That being said, I do enjoy randos. I do them, but I don't. And that's a bit of a gray area.
Yeah. Yeah, I wanted to make sure that it said you do not have to be a speedrunner to attend or to volunteer.
Absolutely.
Let's see what else we got here.
So while we're talking about tech stuff, I see PX asked about has there been consideration for coordinators or producers? So yes, there is a role that Bob didn't mention, which is producer. It was not mentioned because it's definitely not going to be volunteer based. It's going to be staff only. We already have a whole game plan for that. It will be an official role going forward, but it's going to be a staff only position, so it won't be on the volunteer form or anything of that nature.
We have a question from Greensy Saber. Do you expect to continue as a hybrid event going forward? Will eventually transition back to in-person runs? Speaking from the volunteer side of things, we are looking to hopefully one day go back to being an all on-site marathon. It shitty from the fact it's much easier to manage on-site volunteers. I can't speak to the games side of things, unfortunately. puwexil, that would be a question for you.
Yeah, I mean, we're waiting and seeing, basically. I mean, we want as much of our content to be on site as possible, both because it's easier on tech and also just kind of we like the atmosphere better too, as far as the interactivity between the runner, commentator, host, audience, etc. in person. But I mean, but we do recognize that, I mean, it costs money to travel, especially people in like Japan or Europe or other countries too. So I mean, we don't really have any kind of hard and fast decisions about games for the next couple events, but kind of what I feel like is the likely case is that we'll continue kind of allowing for remote run submissions, but kind of each year will be kind of progressively more and more favoring on-site runs.
Yeah, I personally predict and see us maintaining hybrid permanently, but that doesn't mean we're going to always have remote runs, right? Like we could have a year where we just don't really have any particularly strong remote offerings that we feel confident about, so we don't have any. But then next year we might have one or two or three or however many, right? Like I think it's going to be a permanent consideration, but yeah.
Question from the chat: how does the social distancing policies work for the restaurant and the pool area at the venue?
If it's anything like last year, there is no hotel mandated mask policy. You are free to wear your masks. You are free to do whatever you want in whatever area, as long as you stick, when you are in the marathon areas, you stick to the marathon safety.
Yeah, and especially, and if you're a person that does have personal risk factors, we do definitely encourage you to practice masking and social distancing even outside of the event spaces too.
Yep.
Yeah, in regards to distancing, I don't believe we have distancing as an official part of our policy. Our policy is, well, to be completely clear, we don't have a policy for this year at all yet. That's still TBD for us to iron out. It's going to be coming out.
Yeah, I mean, that will be finalized before we open registration next month.
Yeah, but just going off of what our one from last year, our requirements were masking and vaccination status, if you're eligible for vaccination status anyway, with the alternative being consistent testing throughout your duration at the event. In regards to distancing, though, the only thing we really put into practice is we have a lot more spacing in the audience seats in the stream room, and also less chairs in general in the practice room to avoid some crowding around. Otherwise, we don't really have like a distancing policy.
We will say, however, that last year we aren't aware of a single case of COVID that came out of the event.
Yeah, so, I never heard anything about either COVID or other illnesses being spread at our event last year.
Other than the great work that NAMI does for mental illness. See what I did there? Well, I think that's our last question. Oh, yeah.
I think most of the questions were pretty much covered. I believe you probably have just a little bit more time to type in chat which one you would want for the upcoming Birth by Sleep run.
We'll do that through the break, maybe?
Yeah, let's get that through. puwexil, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, my pleasure.
So, I think we're going to break. I don't know. Ghoul? You're a bit more up on this than me.
Yes, we'll go to break right before we go to our next run. Again, probably last chance to get in which of the categories you want, and I'll wait for Ash to put us up on the break screen for a little bit.
Yep. Please vote for character. Yep.
We'll still be around during the Kingdom Hearts run, and we're doing a little thing after the Kingdom Hearts run as well. So if you come up with any more questions, keep asking them. We will be here to answer them.
All right,
and
hello,
we are
everyone.
back. Oh. Of course, we are back, everybody. We have Atzero here with some Birth by Sleep. We do have our character choice, which we have our last call, so we're going to wait. I guess this should be in just a second. How you feeling? You ready for this?
I'll be more ready once I know which character it is.
That's completely valid.
I suppose that is important.
Just in case you guys came in during the break, this is the RPG Limit Break hype stream, the kickoff stream of everything in the RPG Limit Break season, as it were. We'll be back with our main event with July 16th through the 22nd this year, like exactly 3 months from the moment this stream started, which is kind of cool. And we will be raising money for Nami again. So thanks for joining us. And do we have our winner yet? Best I've got.
It actually was pretty darn close.
That's a lot closer than I thought that was going to be. I'm not going to lie.
Alright, thanks for guaranteeing that I'll come under estimate.
Yeah.
My terror boss fights during the interview section were not going well, so...
Yeah, so now that we know that you're Aqua, do you have a proper estimate that you want?
I mean, the hour 5 is fine, just because I am very rusty at the game right now. I haven't played a whole lot recently, so...
Fair.
The comfort is, though, that I'll still be underestimated at least.
Alright.
Alright. Well, do you want to count down, or do you want to count yourself in?
You can count.
Alright, well, we'll start in 3, 2, 1, go.
Alright. And I've already made a lot of the people in the BBS speedrunning community mad by starting the timer on that screen and not on character select, because I refuse to change.
Make him mad. Controversy creates cash.
Alright, so yeah, the start of the run doesn't change too heavily between the 3 characters. It's the same fight regardless. Just some slightly different strats for the fight. The biggest thing with these orbs is that if you get lucky and you can hit them into each other when they go flying across the screen like that, then they kind of self-destruct. So, like right here with Quick Blitz, if I hit these two, if it had connected and they hit each other, they would have both died.
Oh.
And yeah, I guess for the category, this is level 1 critical mode. If it wasn't obvious that I was in critical mode already, I almost died in the very first fight of the game. I actually got pretty low on health for that.
Well, then I will say good luck, have fun. Yes.
And unlike most Kingdom Hearts games, the level 1 version of critical mode is faster than the non-level 1 version for Birth by Sleep. So, it is faster to play on the most dangerous category in this game.
So people that might not be familiar with Kingdom Hearts in general, you're equipping an ability called EXP0, right? What does EXP0 actually do?
Yeah, so it just prevents you from gaining any experience from anything you do in the game. It will keep me at level 1, or at whichever level I decide to equip it, but in this game, it'll be level 1. In Birth by Sleep specifically, it also... When they introduced EXP0 in the original release of the game, they didn't really balance around it at all. So in the HD remakes on the PS3 and PS4, they added a sort of damage scaling element to that ability as well when you equip it, which makes it so that all of your attacks have a damage floor. For single hits, that's not a big deal, but for attacks that hit a lot of times of a small amount of time, then they receive a very heavy boost of damage by having that ability equipped.
Yeah, and we will see evidence of why that matters for Aqua in not too much time.
I would say that there is clearly no foreshadowing with this, right? we're definitely not going to be doing a lot of very small hits.
Yeah,
I just sat here for a minute and considered what it would be like if you could get an EXP 0 in real life. You'd never learn anything.
Don't call me out like that, Bob. It's not okay.
I wasn't going to say that, but...
Yeah, so
Do
I
we
just
get to hear
equipped
Donald
0
Duck
EXP,
sing?
and that ability will be staying on for the rest of this run.
Did we get to hear Donald Duck sing during this run?
No.
Do Donald and Goofy actually even sing during Atlantica in like Kingdom Hearts 2?
Yes, I think they do have voice lines in those songs.
They do, yeah.
I never could get through those. That was the one part of Kingdom Hearts 2 I could not play. I did the first one, I'm like, this is the worst rhythm game I've ever played.
Apparently Wells wants to hear me sing or something, I don't know.
There's not really much in the way of songs in this game. Honestly, there's not much in the way of songs in any of the Kingdom Hearts games minus Atlantica and KH2.
And Arendelle and KH3.
Right.
They decided to put the entirety of the Frozen song.
Yeah. I guess you could argue for the ice cream minigame in Birth by Sleep here, but that doesn't require vocals.
Yeah.
I forgot they put Let It Go in.
Yeah, they sure did.
Like they didn't even just like it wasn't like, oh, we'll put like her on. No, they just straight up ripped the cutscene out of the movie and just threw it in with Sora and Goofy.
They remade it in the game's engine.
They did.
Yeah. But like they didn't change that much.
Wait,
it's like,
they did a shot-for-shot remake in-game?
Yes, in the in-game engine.
Yes.
Yep.
And they didn't you would think, oh, maybe they redubbed it. Nope, they just took the exact song as it was in the movie and they put it in Kingdom Hearts 3 with almost no changes whatsoever.
So is it the same voice actress in the game?
I'm pretty sure they just licensed Idina Menzel for it.
No, but I mean, like when it's not in the cutscene. I mean,
oh, I don't know on that.
Okay,
don't know.
All right, so that thing about EXP 0 and doing a lot of hits. This is why Aqua is fast on level. So you see, the boss lost about a bar of health with one attack from my finisher, and that sums up the Aqua run of how can I get to that attack specifically as fast as I can in each of our boss fights.
Okay, I just googled it, by the way. Elsa is voiced by Idina Menzel in Kingdom Hearts.
Okay.
So, I guess Square Enix got some Disney money for that one.
And coming up in a couple of screens from now, I'm actually going to be going out of my way to farm some ice cream ingredients from some enemies. For anyone that hasn't played Birth by Sleep, there's a shop in Disney Town where I can trade in ingredients to get ice cream, and they have combat mechanics. So, to do so, there are special enemy spawns that I need to find and then beat up. I need to not die.
That would probably be a good idea. Oh, just a couple ice cream ingredients, yeah.
Yeah, just a few. Gonna mess up this trick and make Rebel mad. Alright, got it. Alright, cool. I never expect to get that because I can I found a way to look on the ground on where to do it, and then I never remember where that is.
Yeah, that one is certainly trickier than it looks.
So you're actually doing these almost like out of order a little bit, right? Isn't it technically the Cinderella Castle actually the higher level area?
I actually don't remember. I can check on the world map after the boss.
I don't think it would matter very much with the level 1 restriction anyway, because you're not exactly like leveling up between dungeons or anything like that anyway.
Yeah, it's difficult to keep that straight since all 3 characters visit these 3 worlds in a different order, so it's hard to remember which is the quote-unquote correct order for each of the 3. Alright, so because I am out of practice for this fight, I'm going to be pausing a lot in it to make sure that I do this correctly. This is like the most scripted boss fight in Aqua's run, where I have every attack listed that I need to do in a specific order. Poison. He got knocked down 1 attack early, so this isn't going to kill him. Yeah. If I'd done that correctly, the Spellweaver kills, but plus a missed time, so he got knocked down earlier than he's supposed to.
That just allows you to skip this whole phase then?
Yeah. And unfortunately, every phase for the rest of this boss fight is random. He has 4 different attack patterns he can use, and which one he chooses from is completely up to him. Even that hallway attack he used right though, where he appears in that is random, and I got kinda lucky that he wasn't too far away from me. But yeah, ideally you just don't see him attack at all in that fight. And let's see, what are these battle levels? 2... Nope, okay, Aqua, this is the correct order for Aqua.
Oh, okay. I'm misremembering.
Yeah.
Huh. I like how it's literally 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
Say in other games, don't they try to say like you should try to be this level before you go here?
Yeah. Yeah, normally you would see like, be level 2 or be level 5 or whatnot.
And
sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, similar to what I did in the previous world where I used sliding dash to get to a chest with a strong ability in it earlier than I'm supposed to, I'm gonna be doing the same in the next room here as well.
I was going to say, as someone who doesn't really know the chronology or storyline of Kingdom Hearts, where does this lay within that?
This takes place 10 years before Kingdom Hearts 1. It's the prequel to the main game.
Okay.
Yeah, when it first came out, it was called essentially Kingdom Hearts 0. Though they have since gotten a little bit funnier with naming conventions. That's not exactly true anymore, but it's still more or less Kingdom Hearts 0.
Are you sure it would be 0.5? That's...
No, because then 0.2's name doesn't make sense.
Oh, yeah, 0.2 is a thing.
Yes.
What? Oh.
0.2 is the sequel to Birth by Sleep, which is 0.
Yeah, Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep 0.2, which is the sequel. Yeah.
Bro, why?
So Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep was 0 until they made the unknown amount of time in the past games, which was the mobile games, which they now consider that to be 0 instead. So Birth by Sleep is now 0.1 retroactively, but that's a whole thing that, let's just not.
They have at least become self-aware with it. The prologue at the beginning of Kingdom Hearts 3 ends with a Kingdom Hearts 2.9 introduction.
It does,
so they know what they're doing.
I think I'm going to have to order myself an Uber to a place where anything makes sense anymore.
Kingdom Hearts lore is not the place to go for that. I will just put that politely.
It both makes sense, but also part of the problem is just the retroactiveness parts of it, right?
This is why you just number your games. I don't understand.
Yeah, I mean...
Have you not played any of Square Enix's games? 10-2?
I mean, honestly, the first time... Well, actually, I can't even see that. I was going to say the first time that they didn't do it numbered was Brief of 8 over 2 days, because that was, like, in parallel-ish. That's not true, because the second game ever was
Chain of Memories. It's okay, Bob. It makes as much sense as some wrestling storylines do.
I was about to say, yeah, it makes that much sense as some of the booking at WrestleMania.
Alright, so mechanically in this, the biggest thing in these fights is that I need to make sure Philip doesn't kill too many enemies. Because unlike those Kingdom Hearts games, if your allies get kills in this one, you don't gain experience from it. And that kind of messes up some of the command noting that I need to do.
So the EXP for this is not going to the character. Where is it going?
So it's the commands themselves gain experience. In the command moding in this game, as you have a command equipped and kill enemies, they get CP or command points. And in order to mode commands to make them stronger, they need to level up.
Okay.
And yeah, if I need Magnet and Thunders to hit level 2 by the end of this, or at least after I kill these next couple enemies, and if Philip kills too many of the goons in those fights, then that doesn't happen. In this next room, I've killed those enemies to refill my D-Link gauge, specifically to use a D-Link in this room. D-Links are kind of the equivalent to summons in this game. You summon the command deck of a character that you have met. So I'm summoning Snow White. She has Grumpy, which is Treasure Raid. When I use that on an enemy, it has a chance to make it drop an item. And I wanted to get 2 fleeting crystals though, but I'm happy with just 1. 1 was the minimum. And I also got the command levels that I needed.
I just was sitting here running through possible names for Kingdom Hearts games in my head, and I was trying to do like Kingdom Hearts A plus B equals Y, and I went, no, that actually sounds like something that could happen.
I don't know if they'd ever introduce... Wait.
Like algebra?
Well, I mean, introduce algebra, no, I can't see that happening. I was about to say that I can't see them introducing letters, and then I'm like, wait a minute.
They literally have a name called Birth by Sleep.
Well, as Gore was going to say, the Keyblade.
Yeah, I was going to say Kingdom Hearts key, as in the, key.
Wait, what? Wait, we segued into the Greek alphabet now?
Yes.
Yeah. They actually, they have a voice line in this game where Xehanort says some call it Kai, but the meaning is the same.
Yeah.
Because they use the Greek letter Kai, but say key, so that it can be the Keyblade.
So this is heading for like the Kingdom Hearts Sorority Row spin-off, right?
Also, for anyone who doesn't know, Dragon Maleficent can't hit behind her. So you just stand behind her legs and
wait, really?
She can't do anything.
Yes. Yeah. You just...
Now she's dead.
Yep.
Yeah, bit of an oversight with that fight. If you get a little too close to her back legs, then her shockwaves can hit you, but yeah, as long as you stand slightly behind them, it's a complete dead zone for her. She can't hit you.
And that was true even on like the PSP version and everything?
Yep.
Oh my goodness. Okay. I guess we should go into the history of this game. So this came out on the PSP originally, correct?
Yes. It was like 2010, I think. 2010, 2011.
Oh, right. PSP was the thing.
Yeah. Learning to stream from a PSP was interesting.
Wow.
Because that was Yeah, it was Birth by Sleep that got me into both speedrunning and streaming in general. So that was, having to learn how to stream from that.
So, Birth by Sleep came out originally on the PSP, and then they did a Final Mix version in Japan only, I believe, right?
Yeah, all Final Mixes were Japan only until the HD re-releases.
Then the HD release came out, and then they put it on PS3 at the time, and then now it's been ported forward all the way to essentially modern day. What are the differences between the PSP versions and the console versions?
The biggest one is the 0 EXP rebalancing. If you equipped EXP 0 back on the PSP, you did not do extra damage. It was chip damage the entire game.
Oh.
And I did a playthrough of that. It wasn't fun. Would not recommend anyone.
0 out of 10.
Because EXP 0 wasn't in the original Japanese release. They added it in the US release. So they just didn't put in the balancing to it.
Was the Final Mix version, did they do the balancing then, or was that just when they put on console?
Yeah, it was when it came to console that they finally rebalanced it.
Sheesh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah, Kingdom Hearts has an interesting history of the original Japanese release being essentially, 1.0, and then the English release being almost like a 1.1, or they would frequently add in or change some things, and then Final Mix being released in Japan would include anything English did unique, plus even more yet, usually. It was a really weird back and forth.
I forgot that I only got one fleeting crystal back in Enchanted Dominion, so I need to go get this chest before I do this build. But yeah, another example of them just kind of throwing stuff into the worldwide releases. The mysterious figure boss fight in this game also was not in the original Japanese PSP release. They added it in the US release for the worldwide.
Yeah,
interesting.
It's almost as if obviously they were probably working on the Final Mix versions, afterwards, and it almost as if they were like, oh well, this piece of it is done, just throw it in the English. And so you would get this these half remixes for English release. It's interesting.
And then the HD releases also brought over some of the Final Mix stuff that they added, like the rhythm mix or command style, the 2 new super bosses in the Mirage Arena. I think those were the biggest things from it. Alright, so this is where the 3 stories converge for Terra, Ven, and Aqua. All 3 of them fight this boss. Aqua has the easiest time at it because Spellweaver exists.
Yep.
But their party members do actually do a lot of damage in this fight. They can speed it up a pretty significant amount if they hit body parts. The head is invulnerable during this attack, so I just gotta live through it. And now, similar to how Dragon Mount can't attack behind her, the head can't attack below itself. So I can just stand down here and be fine. That laser will kill me in 1 hit if it hits me. This fight's extremely dangerous on Ven and Terra because the 60 FPS PS4 versions introduced lingering hitboxes from a lot of its attacks. That giant laser that one-shots you will stay on screen for like a good 3 to 5 seconds after it disappears.
Oh, interesting. So they actually, when they put it on PS4, they actually put it to 60 FPS?
Yeah. That's you'll actually see a big thing that benefits from that later on with the Peter Pan deal. But yeah, the PS3 versions were 30 FPS, PS4 and beyond was 60.
Interesting. That usually does not go well if they just do that.
It did not.
A fun one that people learned was that the tornadoes in the Keyblade graveyard were tied to FPS, so those moved twice as quickly when this first came out and had to be patched.
Oh no. Okay.
There's a number of 60 FPS cleans up into the entire collection when that happened. That most of them got patched out. I think there are still a few lingering ones for other entries.
Yeah, Luxor's cards in KH2 still behaves erratically on 60.
Yep.
So this is Vanitas. I'm going to be fighting him a few times. He shows the fun thing in a lot of Kingdom Hearts games where you should use status effects on bosses, because most of them aren't immune to at least one status effect. And in this fight, Vanitas is not immune to Magnet. So he's not going to do anything for the rest of this fight, besides just spin up there above me. It's actually neat what they do with Vanitas. Because you fight him multiple times, they do a good job of, like, the next time I fight him, he's not going to be vulnerable to this because he is stronger. Same thing happens in Ven's storyline. The first time you fight Vanitas, the speedrun strat is to just put him to sleep and let Mickey beat him up.
I don't know what it is. Every time Mickey shows up in the Kingdom Hearts game, it's just funny.
Just that juxtaposition.
It's just so out there. It's ironic. Like, I think, like, among people, at least my age, it's maybe the most popular version of Mickey is Kingdom Hearts Mickey. But it's still just so strange. Here's Mickey wearing a black hoodie and using a sword. And fighting like freaking Yoda.
I've gotten very, very used to it.
Because Mickey getting hit so hard his shirt disappears.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Alright, that was a heck of a thing to come back into.
Yeah, so
nice timing.
The very first time you see Mickey at the end of Kingdom Hearts 1 in this series, he doesn't have a shirt on. And 15 years later, they decided we have to explain why he doesn't have a shirt in this cutscene.
Yep.
So in the 0.2 game, in the scenes leading up to that, he gets hit so hard his shirt disappears.
Yep. Yep. Don't question it.
But Mickey Mouse doesn't wear a shirt.
I mean, he does in this game. Yeah.
That would be like them feeling the need to explain why Donald Duck doesn't wear pants. Please tell me they haven't explained why Donald Duck doesn't wear pants.
I don't think they've addressed that one.
No.
Okay.
No. They have not gone there.
Alright, so this is the gotcha take that section of the game. I hate it. It's just so easy to die in this minigame on critical mode. You can get... I will be playing very safe by going out to the edge of this arena and then trying to hit enemies. Because if I stay in the middle, it's just super easy to get blindsided by something from behind. I also don't play shooting games, so don't worry about my aim.
It's okay, the bullet's home in, right?
If you do a charge attack, they do, but charge attacks also break the camera sometimes. So I try not to use them until it's only one enemy left. Yeah, I think when level 1 Aqua was getting popular back when people realized how fun it could be, this minigame and the final boss were the two hardest points for people to learn. Like, I think anyone coming into learning this game, it's this fight and the very final boss that you spend all of your time on.
I remember actually doing this way back when there was the tournament back in the day. And yeah, it was this fight and the boss.
Yeah. Yeah, this minigame fight thing is brutal.
Yeah, you want the enemies to be somewhat aggressive so that they actually get close enough that I can shoot. Rather than being completely pacifist and just flying around up there. But the moment I move close enough to shoot them, I'm going to get hit from behind and die. So I will play this safe.
Yeah, we're not seeing it because you are back against the wall, so their AI is not doing it. But if you're not against the wall, their AI will... It's very mean.
Yeah, because as far as I'm aware, they don't have set spawn locations either, so they could just spawn in directly behind you and just hit you if you're not paying attention.
Do they hit each other, or is it just you hitting them?
They can't damage each other.
Oh,
Right, now that I've killed a few, I don't mind getting closer. We'll see if I get punished for it. Alright. Yeah, for anyone familiar with the Kingdom Hearts games, this one does have the second chance and once more abilities, but I won't be getting those for a little while longer still. So it's very easy for me to die in these fights.
So what do people that aren't familiar with Kingdom Hearts, what does second chance and once more do?
So they're basically the safety abilities that prevent you from dying when you're at more than 1 health. Second chance means that you won't die to a single powerful hit when you're above 1 HP. And once more means you won't die to a combo attack above 1 health. So when you have both of those equipped, then it is theoretically impossible to die as long as you have 2 health or more. That's not always the case, depending on recovery animations or how you specifically get hit. There are ways to bypass that, but they are the backups to not dying on the higher difficulties. There's something I should explain with Spellweaver. Now, after I beat Trinity Armor, I unlocked a new command style called Blade Charge. I don't want to ever see it, and the way that I would see it is if I use ice or fire spells at a specific point in my combos. So, the biggest one I have right now is Ice Barrage. I need to specifically time when I use that when charging up my command style, otherwise I won't get the Spellweaver finisher. And I want to avoid that. Similar to what we did a bit ago, I'm going out of my way to get some more ice cream ingredients now.
How do the charging command styles work? You aim for Spellweaver. What gets you in the Spellweaver and what causes?
Yeah, so you'll see the command gauge, that bar that's above my command deck at the bottom left, fill up as I use different commands. The form that you get when that bar fills up is based on the element of the abilities you use to fill it. So the big one for Spellweaver is that I will get it from like magnet element or stuff. So if I use just magnets to hit a bunch of enemies until that bar is full, then I'll get Spellweaver. Those requirements can change as you unlock more command styles. At the very beginning of the game, when all I had was Spellweaver, then it didn't matter if I used Magnet or Thunders, I would get Spellweaver either way. But after beating the very first boss, I unlocked a command style called Thunderbolt. So if I'm not a command style and I use Thunders, I'll get Thunderbolt instead of Spellweaver. And it's just based on whichever command fills up the gauge more.
Yeah, it's actually a rare case where you unlocking things is detrimental. It'd be a lot easier if you could always just have Spellweaver.
Yeah. And then yeah, to get the Spellweaver finisher, once I'm in Spellweaver, I need to fill up that gauge again. And that is the point where I have to avoid using any fire or blizzard attacks. If I'm filling that gauge and I use Ice Barrage, it will then put me into the new command style, Blade Charge, instead of giving me the Spellweaver finisher. These are the last group of enemies I need to kill for the ice cream ingredients. Or rather, I don't even need to defeat them, I just have to beat them up.
All this talk of ice cream is going to make me buy it.
I have some in the freezer waiting for after this run.
It's like, my wife's been away this weekend, so I've been subsisting on like pizza and bourbon. Then I'm going to add ice cream, and then my body's going to be like, yeah, and I took that personally.
Let's say, Adam, you do know that when you have ice cream, you do have to share it with everybody in the call, right?
Don't know how that works.
You just stuff it into your modem, and I'll be waiting on the other end.
Right. I'm gonna have to go let my roommate know I'm gonna try that and see how he goes about it.
you have a disk drive, right? Just put it in that.
Who has disk drives now?
Me.
I still have one.
I have one.
I didn't bother putting mine in the last time I remade my PC.
So, coming in as the voice of tech, I have to tell you, we are working on this technology. We'll get it eventually, but you know, it took me a while just to make sure I could get your gameplay over here.
You've been working on the technology of disk drives?
Oh no, I thought it was technology of sending ice cream over the internet.
Yeah, to put the ice cream in the disk drive. To put the ice cream in the disk drive to send it over the internet, yes.
I'm working on this unique thing called disk drives.
You know,
you save your information.
I'm just gonna wait.
Like physical media.
I'm gonna wait just a little bit longer.
What's going on in the Olympus Coliseum right now?
Everybody's gonna
say that again, Ghoul.
Everybody's gonna forget that it existed, and we're gonna reinvent physical media. I'll patent it. It'll be great. That's how this works, right?
We've decided to make it look like the save icon in Word.
It's fine. What's great is that all this ice cream talk is going to get evened out by the next minigame I have to do.
Oh gosh, that's right.
It's gonna get healthy.
Yeah, my doctor's office still sends things by fax.
A lot of medical participations still do that. Fax is also a very popular thing for businesses in certain countries around the world still.
Look at us being like, it's like fax, and one of the most popular things we run are on like a NES.
Right. So, some of you watching may have picked up that I kind of left Deep Space in Olympus Coliseum before beating the bosses, though, and that's because ice cream. I'll explain how the ice cream actually works once I finish this menu, because I might have to go detour to pick up a job if I didn't get it. I got lucky. So yeah.
Again, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, those second chance and once more abilities I just explained, I have now. So now, with these equipped, as long as I am above 1 health, and other shenanigans don't happen, I should not die.
And not being familiar with Kingdom Hearts, I heard you say, I left Deep Space, and all I could hear in my head was pension Bajoran workers. Typing overdosing characters.
See, I heard Deep Space and I just thought of the Dead Space remake that just came out, but that's not the right genre.
Alright, so gonna even out all that ice cream talk with some football. This is a 3-minute minigame. I have to just not lose. But yeah, so this will give me time to actually explain why I was going out of my way for all that ice cream now. Ice cream is an item you can use that, depending on which flavor you eat, puts you directly into a command style without having to use commands to fill up the gauge. So while before I was going into Spellweaver by using a lot of magnets and thunders and whatnot, now I can eat one ice cream to enter Spellweaver, and then eat a second one to have the finisher ready. And it's just coincidentally enough that Deep Space and Olympus Coliseum ice cream enemies give me the exact ingredients for Fabra Cadabra, which is the Spellweaver ice cream. So I go
like a really good ice cream flavor.
Yep. So I go into both of those worlds, get the ingredients, go up until the boss fight, and then leave so that I can come here, get the ice cream, and now I will be beating every boss except for one by just eating ice cream.
It sounds like my kind of speedrun.
And yeah, that combined with just how much damage Spellweaver does on level 1 is why Aqua's level 1 category is like the fastest single character category in this game, regardless of difficulty. I think for Aqua and Ven, the level 1s are faster than the beginners. Ben I'm iffy on, and I know Terra Beginner is faster than Terra level 1, since he can't abuse level 1 stuff as heavily as the other two characters.
Ready to football.
Okay, so what is the lore in Fruit Bowl? What is going on here? Why are we just randomly spiking balls into a soccer net against a bunch of... Why are they unversed playing Fruit Bowl with them?
I don't remember the last time I watched the cutscene leading into this. I don't know.
Wait, hold on. Unversed? I thought they were called Heartless.
That's only one of the enemy types.
Yeah, so Heartless are the main ones introduced in Kingdom Hearts 1. They're made when a heart is lost to darkness. The enemies in this game are unversed, and they are created through the conglomeration of negative emotion.
Yeah.
Are you ready for the really mind-blowing part of this, Bob?
Okay.
Heartless are corrupted hearts.
Yep.
There's an enemy called Nobodies, that is the body that is left behind when a Heartless is...
Taxi!
So the enemy called Heartless is a literal heart, and the enemy called a Nobody is a literal body.
Correct.
Like... I'm actually not surprised by that.
Yeah, and then there's a fourth one yet too called Dream Eaters, which if you're familiar with, if you've watched Balloons a few years ago for Limit Break, which is basically, well, as we understood it back when that game came out, it was just these are the enemies that exist within sleeping or dream worlds. As of the mobile games, we now know that instead of that, it's actually former Keyblade wielders from the ancient era who died within the simulated world and returned into Dream Eaters.
Oh god, I'm about to regret asking this question. Excuse me. Could you elaborate on the term simulated world, please?
The Matrix exists within the series.
You like legitimately? You probably do not want me to go into the mobile game stories because it is a lot. It's a lot.
Meanwhile, we're just shredding a boss over here.
Yeah,
as we do.
I got unlucky with Stitch. In practice, you want Gantu to be defeated by that second Spell Weaver. If Stitch had attacked him one more time, it would have happened.
I mean, Stitch not doing what you want him to do is par for the course for Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah. Yeah. I also would like to say that I'm proud of myself that I only just finally had a KH2 moment. A big thing with this game is that, unlike most games in the series, the reaction command stuff is on X instead of triangle. And having done a lot of KH2 rando leading up until this, I was definitely expecting to press triangle a lot to like try to open chests or to interact with stuff. And having it only happen once so far, I'm proud of myself. Because that's always the experience of coming back to Birth by Sleep after playing any other Kingdom Hearts game, is pressing triangle to open a chest and just attacking the chest. Alright, so Hades and Ice Colossus. I want to hope Hades stays next to the Colossus so that I can attack them both at the same time. It's not doing that, so I'm going to hit him once and hope he changes direction. He changed direction, but not to a one that was helpful. So, because they're so spread out, I'm just going to focus down the Colossus first and deal with Hades afterwards. he'll be at 1 health after that last ignite, so I'm going to come hit Hades. And finish him off with that. That is bad. It might actually be faster to just lose at this point. Yeah. Because I was out of ice cream, and with this setup for this command deck, I'm purely set up just to fight bosses with ice cream now. So trying to do a bar and a half of damage to Hades with the commands I had available still would have taken way too long.
All yours, Frosty.
And now Hades gives me the movement pattern I wanted. Well, he's right next to the Colossus, and I can attack them both at once.
That's very nice of him.
Yeah, he just had to show off both versions of this fight. Yeah, it is possible to do this fight in just 2 Spellweavers, but for that to happen, you need Hades to be next to the Colossus, and the Colossus's attacks can actually hurt Hades as well. And you need him to hit Hades a couple times while you're hitting both of them. I've had it happen maybe twice in the time that I've ran this game. I also don't think I mentioned it, since I just noticed I saw the Keyblade pop up. The 0 EXP thing does not care about my stats at all, so that's why I haven't bothered equipping a new Keyblade. The stats I gain from a stronger Keyblade are still going to be below the floor that 0 EXP boosts me to, so equipping a new Keyblade doesn't give me any benefit. So I just stick with Aqua's default Keyblade the whole time.
They got rid of different ranged Keyblades after Kingdom Hearts 1, didn't they?
No, the Keyblades still have different lengths to them, but I'm never hitting anything physically with Aqua, so that doesn't matter.
Okay. Just remember in Kingdom Hearts 1, the really long ones were really obnoxious to actually use. You would just whack them into walls on accident all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good old Kingdom Hearts 1 jank.
And then most Keyblades in this game don't have any sort of like ability attached to them, like some of the other Kingdom Hearts games. There was one exception, but the Keyblade requires doing a lot of optional stuff, and you won't see it in a normal speedrun. Get the 3rd ignite. Good for Vanitas. So yeah, we're going to be fighting Vanitas again. He's back. He is now immune to Magnet, so we can't do what we did last time. He is not, however, immune to Ignite, which is an ability which sets an opponent on fire. It does damage to them over time. And I also can't just spam Spellweaver against this boss because he will teleport out of attacks. The Spellweaver finisher worked on him previously because he was stuck in the magnet, so that kept him crowd controlled. If I were to just use a Spellweaver finisher now, he would just teleport away, and I won't do any damage. So instead, while doing these ignites, I'm trying to hit him 10 times. Once I land the 10th hit, he will use an attack where he dives underground. And when he's using that attack, he's locked into it and won't be able to teleport. Alright, so now we win. I move away from Vanitas while he's underground because he won't come out from the ground until he gets close enough to me. So I'm moving away to keep him though, but he's still vulnerable to taking damage. So I just strafe around him while using Spellweaver to finish him off. And yeah, this last 10-15 minutes of Aqua's run is just pretty much a boss rush due to how we set up Olympus Coliseum and Deep Space. And at this point, we just have 2 bosses left. We also get to show on the next boss the single strongest ability in this game on level 1. Because Spellweaver does a lot of damage, but it's not the strongest thing on level 1 in this game. And that is the Peter Pan D-Link. It was good on PS3 because of the whole level 1 boosted damage mechanic. It got even better on PS4 because 60 FPS doubled the amount of times that it'll hit an enemy. So we can estimate Spellweaver up until this point have been hitting enemies like 20-30 times. The Peter Pan D-Link finisher in theory could hit an enemy 160 times.
Oh my god.
Nothing survives long enough to get the 460 hits. The boss that you can use on with the most health in this game dies before seeing all of that. Sadly, because it is a D-Link, there are certain conditions that have to be met to use it. And the thing is that your gauge has to not be locked, which it gets locked in the Mirage Arena, so you can't use it on a lot of optional bosses. And you can't have a party member. And Aqua's final boss, you have Mickey with her, so she gets locked out of using it for her final boss. But for the penultimate boss, both of those conditions are met, so we can use it in that one. And just for safety, I'm going to equip a cure. Yeah, the biggest thing to explain for the Peter Pan D-Link, similar to the command gauge filling up for Spellweaver, Peter Pan's D-Link has a condition to meet to fill it up, which is to attack an enemy or deal damage while you are in the air. So I'm going to be trying to stay airborne while deflecting Blake's projectiles to fill up that gauge. You can see those little hits I'm doing right now, not filling it up by much. But once I deflect a couple attacks here, it should be. There we go. So now I just need to wait until Blake uses a specific attack where he won't teleport out of. Which we use after he does this next move. And now we win. So that was 60 hits. Like I said, this attack could go up to about 160, 170. But nothing lives long enough to see it. But yeah, unfortunately, Mickey is now with us, so we can't use that again. So we're back to Spellweaver with the final boss. And time will be at the end of this boss fight.
Mickey with a shark, most importantly.
Yes.
Yep.
So I can't help but notice that you've been fighting other characters or not.
So kind of.
Yeah.
I am now fighting Ventus as he is possessed by Vanitas, the enemy I killed back in Neverland. He has merged with Ven and taken control of his body.
And Vanitas, the one we've been fighting up until now, is not Ventus. But they do share a face because they formerly shared a body until they were forcibly split in half. Which is also not entirely a full story because Vanitas was actually like an independent darkness that took over Vanitas hundreds of years ago, because yes, Vanitas is older, but you don't... time travel shit, alright?
Kingdom Hearts.
Alright, similar to the other Vanitas fight, I'm mostly just trying to wait until he uses specific attacks that I can punish. This was the one thing I was hoping not to see, was him going underground right now. I think I can make this work. Alright, cool. He should be done. Time.
GG.
Yeah, that was Aqua's story. A lot of ice cream, little bit of Peter Pan. That's actually the nicest part about doing all stories, is that you then get to carry over into several more boss fights with Aqua that does abuse Peter Pan, and it's actually really fun to use.
What's wrong?
Yeah, so thanks for having me. Good luck to everyone with the Limit Break submissions.
Yeah. If people were more interested in learning a bit more about Kingdom Hearts, what would they do?
Go to the
speedrun specifically.
Yeah, the Kingdom Hearts speedrun.com website, and there are Discord channels from servers for a lot of the games. I think generally each game has kind of its own server that's split off from the other. I don't think there's a conglomerate that has like all of the Kingdom Hearts games in them. Personally, I don't heavily speedrun the games much anymore outside the randomizer, so I can't speak too well to that. But I'm sure there are Discords that exist for them. You just have to search them out.
Alrighty, I think we're probably going to throw to a quick break, and then we'll do a little bit of a quick wrap-up.
Yep, we'll be back.
Alrighty, so that's been our kickoff, warm up, hype stream, whatever you want to call it. Just once again, I'm going to go through the full event is July 16th through the 22nd. Our game submissions are open from right now, which is April 16th, if you're watching this on YouTube in 3 weeks, until April 23rd. So you still got about a week to get those in. I believe puwexil is throwing it up in chat. Get those in. Would love to see. Very excited to see that. The event registration will open May 14th through June 18th. And yeah, this has been a lot of fun. I've had a great time hanging out with Bob and Gamer. And of course, massive thank you to our fantastic runners. We had Steam Hands with Cheese and the Sid with Final Fantasy VII Intergrade. And Atzero with Birth by Sleep doing Aqua. Bob, Gamer, puwexil, Ash, anything you guys have for us?
Need to shout out Ashen for running the tech for this.
Yes, thank you, Ashen.
You don't need to, but I do appreciate it.
Volunteer submissions also opening on the 14th of May. Volunteer sign-ups, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
Applications. Or maybe.
Yeah, whatever. Volunteer stuff. 14th May. Be there. Be square.
Yep. 14th May is the big date. That's also when we'll have our COVID policy. It's also when we have registration open. We'll also hopefully have hotel bookings available. It's the main day. Prize submissions too. So everything.
Yeah, we're looking to get some cool prizes this year. So, everyone excited?
Extremely.
So excited.
Yes.
Very much. Yeah.
It's going to be a good one.
All right. Chat, let's show them how to do it. Are you excited? He says, pausing for chat to catch up.
The first one I saw was maybe.
There we go. Chat are more hype. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I'm glad we did this stream today. Spoiler alert for those of you in chat. This will not be the only stream we are doing in the run-up to the main event. There will be some other streams coming in the pipeline. Stay tuned to our Twitter, to YouTube, Discord for more on those. I mainly put that in the stream because now we're committed to doing it.
Why would you do this to us,
and
Bob?
we can't just be like...
I mean, we had at least one more we already pretty much have firmly in mind, but
Yep.
Yeah. We're not gonna be strangers. We're gonna do our best to pop in and out. If there are any questions that you came up with today that we didn't answer or you hadn't thought about and you want to get answered, pop over onto the Discord. That's a great place to ask us questions. So that would be a great. And especially if you're planning to volunteer in any way, most of our communication will be done through Discord. So please get on the Discord.
And if you're watching this after the fact on YouTube, all the links you'll need will be down in the description.
There is one small thing I did not mention before when it comes to volunteering. And I think Ashen and Gamer are going to back me on this. We also accept volunteers for setup and teardown. So if you're there a couple of days, if you're there a day or so early, we would love your help setting this up in the stream room. And if you're there afterwards, that would be great because there was like 6 of us last year. That was not great.
Think of the biggest U-Haul that there is. It's 26 feet. Fill it full of all of the things, and there were 6 of us to deal with it all. We did it, and we can and will do it again. But we would love to have your help with it too.
Yeah.
In the meantime, please look after yourselves. We love our community. We care for our community. And I guess I'll do my sign out as I always do by saying guys, gals, non-binary powers, and all those beyond that spectrum. It was the 16th President of the United States, Abraham Lincoln. Be excellent to each other. Party on, my friends.
See y'all with the next one.
Yep. See you at the next stream we do.
Submit cool games, please.
Yes, submit games.